Chapter 233. He seemed to see his own shadow in Ali. Ali, don't be anxious. You have to be calm. More haste, less speed. Yihua guided attentively. After hearing those words, Dong Huangli gradually relaxed. Buzz buzz buzz. Purple sparks could be seen coming out from Dong Huangli's finger. Dong Huangli was exulted, and even Yihua was stupefied. A small ball of sky ghost fire appeared on Ali's fingertip. Papa, Ali succeeded. Right now Yihua was in a stupefied state. It took me an hour to condense out my bloodline, but Ali actually condensed out my bloodline in less than 20 minutes. As expected of my bloodline, this kind of innate talent is even a bit stronger than mine. If such thoughts were heard by others, they would definitely scold the father and daughter for being perverts. Sky's ghost fire would take at least a few hundred years to condense out, and it would also require all kinds of fire starters to fuse together. In the end, they were able to condense out the Sky's ghost fire in just a few minutes, especially Dong Huangli, who was able to condense out the Sky's ghost fire in less than 20 minutes. Yihua was still lamenting that the 1 hour that he had spent to condense out the Sky's ghost fire was too long. Ali is really amazing. Yihua encouraged Ali and stroked the child's head. Ali narrowed her beautiful eyes as she enjoyed her father's touch. Yihua stretched out his hands and various colored flames could be seen emerging from his fingertips. Ali, this will be your first lesson. Dong Huangli looked foolishly at the flame on her father's fingertip. So beautiful, so powerful, he must study hard and not let his father down. He must make his father proud. Right now, Dong Huangli's big eyes were shining with a firm conviction. Yihua was very satisfied. I wonder if Xianxia's child will look like Ali. I'm really looking forward to it. While the father and daughter were cultivating their relationship upstairs, Xianxia came downstairs and looked at Dong Huangbaiji, who was currently drinking wine. Taking a deep breath, Xianxia walked over and sat beside Dong Huangbaiji, then poured herself a glass of wine. You are pregnant, yet you are still drinking? Dong Huangbaiji reminded, then slowly took a sip of wine. Xianxia slightly went into a daze, then placed down the wine glass that was at the side of her mouth. Thank you for reminding me. The two women sat there without saying a word. The atmosphere was a little weird. These 3 years must have been very painful for you, right? Xianxia said slowly. Dong Huangbaiji laughed lightly. Pain? It's a common occurrence. I've gotten used to it in the past 3 years. If Yihua had gone downstairs back then, perhaps you wouldn't be in so much pain. Xianxia said faintly. I feel that Dong Huangbaiji is also a victim. Based on what Ali said, Dong Huangbaiji's life isn't very comfortable. Dong Huangbaiji looked towards Xianxia and said earnestly, Xianxia, if Yihua had come down back then, you wouldn't be able to do anything anymore. Would you be willing to do that? Xianxia didn't speak because right now she couldn't bear to part with Yihua, but at the same time she was also angry. These two kinds of emotions intertwined together, causing Xianxia to be unspeakably bitter. In actuality, if Yihua was a bit more of a rascal and coaxed the two women a bit more, he might be able to hug the two beauties back home. Unfortunately, Yihua wasn't that kind of person. This Dong Huangbaiji was even spanked. How could she not be angry? Xianxia, in actuality, I am rather envious of you. Dong Huangbaiji said calmly. Her tone was indeed filled with envy and she wasn't lying. Xianxia laughed bitterly. What is there to be envious of? I am just an ordinary woman, and it's just that I have a bit of money and good looks. That's why I was tricked by Yihua to come here. Xianxia, I envy your luck. Dong Huangbaiji let out a light sigh. What? When you came to look for him when you were pregnant, he immediately went down. I envy you. Dong Huangbaiji had a drunken smile on her face. Most probably only when she was in this state would she reveal her inner thoughts. Xianxia understood. If it was me and Yihua didn't go down, I reckon that I would even have the heart to die. Meanwhile, Dong Huangbaiji persisted for so long, and she even brought Ali along with her. In actuality, no one knew just how much pressure Dong Huangbaiji was under. The pressure was brought by Voidless Realm, and the pressure was brought by the outside world. But now, everyone knew of Ali's existence and it didn't matter anymore. Then, did Yihua explain why he didn't go down back then? Dong Huangbaiji laughed in disdain. He did, just treat it as what he said was the truth. Could it be that he lied to you again? Xianxia was a bit angry. Everything about Yihua is good, but he only knows how to lie. He said that it wasn't convenient for him to go down during those few days. Do you believe him? Dong Huangbaiji herself laughed. Yihua doesn't even know how to lie. Can't he put some effort into making up a lie? Xianxia went into a daze. Inconvenient? You aren't even a woman, what inconvenient about it? It was obvious that he was being perfunctory. Donghuang Baiji poured a cup to the brim and downed it in a single gulp. From this, it could be seen just how angry she was. After a while, Xianxia said in a deep voice, "Actually, the two of you are very compatible. Both of you are cultivators." "Xianxia, you don't have to say that. It's not a matter of whether we are worthy or not, but he wants to forcefully keep us here." Xianxia clenched her small fist. "That's right, if I was more powerful than him, I would definitely beat him up and let him be the boss." "Aha, your thoughts are exactly the same as mine. I want to hang Yihua up and give him a good beating, and let him know how formidable I am. Who asked him to lie to me?" Although Yihua was clearly smiling, tears were flowing out from her beautiful eyes. How could Xianxia not be in pain? When this atmosphere arrived, tears unconsciously flowed down from her eyes. Sitting at the bar counter, the two women burst into tears. However, this scene was witnessed by Yi Zizi, who came downstairs to grab some spicy sticks. While eating the spicy strip, Yi Zizi couldn't help but sigh in admiration. These two madams were really a good match. Even when they were crying, they almost cried together. After saying that, Yi Zizi skipped upstairs to play games. After crying enough, the two beauties' eyes were red and swollen, looking very sad. Donghuang Baiji choked with sobs. "Xianxia, do you want to leave this place?" "Yes." Xianxia nodded her head. In actuality, she had long wanted to leave this place and calm down by herself. "If there's a chance, I will bring you to Voidless Realm. The air there is good, it is suitable for nurturing the fetus." Xianxia asked confusedly, "Voidless Realm? And that place is my territory, no one will disturb you. Even if Yihua comes, I will be able to make him back off. But we are unable to leave at all." Xianxia sighed. "Facing such a tyrant, how is it possible for us to run away?" Donghuang Baiji naturally didn't know how to run away. "Let's look at the situation first. He can't possibly lock us up forever, right? Baiji, you might not know this, but Yihua is really capable of doing such a thing. He isn't playing around with us." Xianxia understood Yihua now. "Although he dotes on you, once you provoke him, he won't be reasonable with you." Donghuang Baiji said coldly, "How can I do that? I still have a lot of things that I have to deal with outside. Thinking about how I sneaked out this time, if I am discovered to be missing, wouldn't Voidless Realm be in chaos? No. I have to rush back." Thinking up to here, Donghuang Baiji pounded on the air wall and shouted out, "Yihua! Get down here." Xianxia was very confused. Stretching out her hand, she touched the air wall, but there wasn't anything there. Donghuang Baiji laughed bitterly. "Xianxia, this is the difference between you and me." Chapter 234. Yihua, who was currently watching Donghuang Li's practice, wrinkled his brows. What is this woman talking about again? Ali, practice properly. Yihua patted onto his daughter's head. Donghuang Li nodded her head earnestly. Ali understands. Walking down the stairs, Yihua was startled. They are actually together? What does that mean? Donghuang Baiji, you really don't have the slightest bit of etiquette for shouting like this. Yihua shouted out gravely. As my woman, look at how she is acting right now. She is acting just like an auntie. If my subordinates were to see this, I, the Supreme Overlord, would truly be throwing away my face. Xianxia wrinkled her brows and stood at the side without saying a word. She was even feeling a bit of sympathy for Donghuang Baiji. However, he had been lectured like this in the past, but the situation now was different. Someone else was raising a child with you, but you didn't say anything nice. Instead, you scolded me the moment you came. Yihua, let me out. Donghuang Baiji hit the air wall and shouted out. Yihua stood outside of the air wall and looked at Donghuang Baiji, then said faintly, if you don't have the slightest change, then just obediently stay here. Yihua, that's enough. Is there a need to imprison others? At this moment, Xianxia also spoke out to persuade Yihua. This caused Yihua to be very unhappy. Just whose side are you standing on? Looking at Xianxia, Yihua said coldly, Xianxia, go upstairs and rest. No, I want to go out too. Xianxia shouted out with a stern face. This caused Yihua to be even angrier. Do these two women really want to leave this place that much? I won't let it go. Xianxia, don't make me angry again. Xianxia didn't seem to be afraid at all and continued to shout out, Yihua, let me tell you, I'm not your pet canary. Enough. Yihua shouted out angrily. This roar caused the two women to be stupefied. Right now, Yihua's expression was sinister, and a red light was flickering within his pair of black pupils. Yihua had been fighting for his entire life, and there was no one who was able to make him so angry. Even those overlords were unable to do so. However, Yihua didn't expect that he would be provoked by two women, and these two women were even his own women. Xianxia, I'm talking to this woman. You can go upstairs and wait. After calming down the anger in his heart, Yi Hua said coldly. Xianxia looked at Yi Hua in disbelief. He actually shouted at me, this bastard that deserves 1,000 cuts. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji could be seen picking up chairs and throwing them towards Yi Hua. Their expressions were that of wanting to kill Yi Hua. Yi Hua was angered to the point that his veins were about to pop out, and his handsome face had turned red from anger. Xianxia, you asked for it. The two of you better stay here and don't go anywhere. With that, he turned around and went upstairs. Not only was the conflict within the family not resolved, it was becoming more and more intense, and now even Xianxia was locked up. Right now, Xianxia was fiercely smashing the air wall with a chair and shouted out loudly, Yi Hua, I hate you. I hate you. Meanwhile, Donghuang Baiji, who was at the side, was the same as well. Yi Hua, you bastard. I, Donghuang Baiji, will never be your woman in my entire life. Xianxia, am the same. I want a divorce. Facing the two women's various threats, Yi Hua slowly turned his head around and said coldly, then the two of you shall stay here forever. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji powerlessly fell onto the ground, then hugged onto each other and cried bitterly. Soon after, the two of them hugged onto each other and cried bitterly. Yi Hua stood at the entrance of the staircase, then lit up a cigarette and started smoking. Now, even Xianxia has become like that, there's no way I can continue living like this. Suddenly Yi Hua thought of something and walked downstairs again, then shouted out faintly, Donghuang Baiji, from today onwards, Ali's surname will be Yi. Donghuang Baiji, who was currently crying, went into a daze, then began smashing the air wall crazily. Yi Hua, you don't have the right to do this, Ali is mine. You can't snatch her away. I'm just informing you, I'm not asking for your permission. After finished speaking, Yi Hua went upstairs. No. Yi Hua, you can't do this, Ali was raised by me, Ali. Donghuang Baiji's heart-wrenching screams were extremely heart-wrenching. Donghuang Baiji sat paralyzed on the ground and slapped the air wall powerlessly. This caused Xianxia, who was at the side, to be very worried. She didn't care about herself and hurriedly comforted Donghuang Baiji. Donghuang Baiji is truly too pitiful. Donghuang Baiji has been raising a child for so long, and right now, the moment Yi Hua takes over, he wants the child to change her name. Which mother would be able to endure such a thing? Yi Hua stood outside and smoked a cigarette, then walked into the office. Right now, Donghuang Li was seriously practicing, and her little face was filled with sweat. Right now, only my daughter can make me feel at ease, not a single other person can make me feel at ease. Daddy, when Donghuang Li saw that her father had arrived, she immediately stretched out her hands, wanting to hug Yi Hua. Yi Hua's mood became a lot better. He stretched out his hands and hugged his daughter. How is Ali's practice? Daddy, Ali is only able to condense fire, I am unable to control it, Donghuang Li said disappointedly. She was a bit afraid that her father would get angry, because back in Voidless Realm, if Ali couldn't reach her mother's requirements, her mother would punish her. Yi Hua naturally wouldn't. Pinching onto Ali's little face, he said, it's alright, take your time. Seeing that her father didn't blame her and even comforted her, Donghuang Li became extremely happy and said, Ali likes Daddy the most, children are like this, they will like whoever treats them well. While hugging onto his daughter, Donghuang Li sat on the sofa and took out a tissue to wipe Ali's sweat. Suddenly, Donghuang Li's brows wrinkled and she actually started crying. Ali, what's wrong? Yi Hua asked worriedly. Ooh, Daddy treats Ali too well. Mommy has never even wiped Ali's tears before. From the looks of it, Donghuang Baiji was taught by a tiger mother. Don't cry in the future, with Daddy here, no one will dare to bully you. Yi Hua said gravely. I wonder how much suffering Ali has suffered together with Donghuang Baiji. Donghuang Li hugged onto her father tightly and cried. This feeling of being doted on by her father was unprecedented. Ali, Daddy has something to tell you. Yi Hua said while caressing onto his daughter's hair. And Donghuang Li replied. Yi Hua said faintly, Ali, in the future you will follow Daddy's surname Yi. Ah, then Ali won't be called Donghuang Li anymore, will she be called Yi Li? And that's right. Alright, Ali will listen to Daddy's words. Donghuang Li agreed happily. However, she suddenly thought of something and frowned. Yi Hua was very happy. My daughter is so obedient and sensible. Daddy, if Ali's surname becomes Yi, Mommy will be very sad. Donghuang Li opened her eyes wide and looked at her father. Ali doesn't want to follow Daddy's surname? In actuality, Yi Hua didn't really care much about surnames. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. In the past, Yi Hua didn't know about it, but now that he knew about it, he definitely had to change it. Donghuang Li shook her head. Of course, Ali wants to follow Daddy's surname, but if that's the case, Mommy will be alone. Yihua remained silent. Although Mommy is very strict with Ali, Ali can tell that Mommy actually loves Ali a lot, just that Mommy didn't say it out. Furthermore, Mommy only has Ali. I'm afraid that Mommy will be very sad. Chapter 235. Seeing that her father didn't say anything, Dong Huangli thought that her father was angry, thus she hurriedly said, "Daddy, don't be angry, Ali will follow Daddy's surname. However, in the future when Daddy and Mommy have a child, one of them must follow Mommy's surname. If not, Mommy will be too lonely." Dong Huangli said pitifully. Upon hearing that, Yihua laughed. Ali truly loves Mommy. Yes, Ali also loves Papa. Yihua said faintly, then, Ali shall follow Mommy's surname. But Ali also wants to have Papa's surname. The little fellow felt extremely wronged. She pouted and looked very unhappy. Can a mere surname stop the love between us father and daughter? Right now Dong Huangli liked Yihua even more. Dong Huangli kissed her father's cheek ferociously, while Yihua lifted Dong Huangli up. Oh, Ali can fly. Seeing that the little fellow was happy, Yihua was very happy too. At such a young age he already knows how to dote on his parents. Papa, don't worry. I won't embarrass you in the future. This is more like my daughter. Hee. Upstairs the father and daughter were getting along harmoniously while downstairs wailing endlessly. Even Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi who were playing games couldn't sit still anymore, and both of them came downstairs to take a look. In the end, Qing Yutong was instantly dumbfounded. Qing Yutong really didn't dare to believe that her brother-in-law would actually shut two people up in one go. I did ask you to be jealous, big sister, you shouldn't be jealous like this. Yi Zizi expressed that his honor was already very benevolent. If it was in the past, Yi Zizi would not only be locked up here, he would also be locked up in a place that was even more terrifying. Yutong, go up and talk to Yihua. I want to divorce him. Qing Ya's eyes were red and swollen as she lightly comforted Dong Huang Baiji who was in pain. Yi Zizi blinked her beautiful eyes and said, big sister-in-law, big cousin has a bad temper. Don't be angry. That's right, brother-in-law definitely didn't do it on purpose. Right now, Qing Yutong didn't dare to go and anger Yihua, if not, her butt would definitely be beaten swollen. Yi Zizi was thinking the same way as well. Right now, whoever stands on the side of Qing Ya and Dong Huang Baiji would be asking for a beating. Qing Ya pointed at the two of them and said in a low voice, you two traitors. During the crucial moment, he stood on Yihua's side. Sister, don't be angry. It's not like you don't know brother-in-law. Won't it be over if you act coquettishly? Qing Ya shouted out indignantly and shyly, I even acted coquettishly towards him, let him go and die. Return my daughter to me. I want Ali. Right now Dong Huang Baiji was choking with tears. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi felt uncomfortable looking at this woman. This woman is truly very pitiful. Could it be that his honor doesn't know how to coax her? Sigh. Mama, Dong Huangli could be heard shouting out, then pounced over like a gust of wind. After not seeing her daughter for a few hours, Dong Huang Baiji immediately hugged onto Dong Huangli and said, Ali, Mama, why are you crying? Don't cry, Ali, wipe Mom's tears. The more sensible Dong Huangli was, the more sad Dong Huang Baiji cried. If I didn't lose my temper that day, this little fellow wouldn't have left the house, and wouldn't have met with this heartless father of mine. At this moment Yihua walked over unhurriedly and said faintly, Yutong, go and bring the table over. It's time to eat. Oh. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi immediately went to prepare the tableware. Qing Ya gnashed her teeth in anger. Traitor. The feeling of hugging a mother and hugging a father are different. A mother's embrace is warm while a father's embrace is warm and safe. Mama, Daddy agreed to let Ali have the surname Dong Huang. Dong Huangli, who was nestled in her mother's embrace, said in a low voice. Dong Huang Baiji went into a daze, then raised her head and looked towards Yihua who was smoking at the side. Will this man be so kind-hearted? I won't believe it even if I'm beaten to death. Dong Huangli could be heard adding a sentence. Daddy said that in the future the child that he and Mommy give birth to must have the surname Yi. Cough cough cough. Yihua choked upon hearing his daughter's words. You still want my bloodline? That will have to depend on your performance. Do you think that it is that easy to obtain my bloodline? Wishful thinking. Dong Huang Baiji shouted out at Yihua for being shameless. To actually say such things to a child and still want to give birth to a child with me, wishful thinking. In any case, I don't plan to pay attention to Yihua for the rest of my life. I'm very angry, the kind that I can't coax. After setting up the dining table, Yihua brought over the meat of star-cleansing sparrow and golden delicate crane. Come and eat. Yihua shouted towards the two women. Mama, Aunt Qing, it's time to eat. Dong Huangli could be seen dragging the two women to the dining table. How could children be dragged by adults? It was just that Xianxia and Dong Huang Baiji didn't resist. Qing Yutong couldn't take it anymore, and Yi Zizi was also drooling. This meat is pretty good, His Honor sure knows how to live his life. Ali, when you are growing, eat more. Yihua said tenderly. Dong Huangli smiled sweetly. Ali will start eating then. Yihua nodded his head, giving his approval. Wow, Daddy, what meat is this? It is so delicious. Dong Huangli cried out in surprise. I have never eaten such delicious meat before. Qing Yutong laughed. Ali, eat this meat, you can become prettier too. Really? In that case, Ali has to eat more, you will become prettier than Mommy. Dong Huangli laughed happily. There was no need to talk about Yihua and Dong Huang Baiji's appearance, so how could the child that the two gave birth to be bad? The child would obviously not be bad, and the meat could only be said to be the icing on the cake. Xianxia and Dong Huang Baiji didn't move. It seemed like they were going on a hunger strike to protest against Yihua's actions. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi noticed that the atmosphere wasn't quite right, thus they carried their plates and went upstairs to eat. Mom, Aunt Qing, why aren't the two of you eating? This meat is really delicious. Dong Huangli had already eaten 2 big pieces of meat, yet she still wasn't satisfied. Aunt Qing is on a diet, Ali, you eat. Xianxia gave her share to Ali. Mommy is on a diet too, Ali, you eat. Dong Huang Baiji didn't eat either. Looking at the two women's actions, I, the supreme overlord, like these two women. However, let's see how long you two can persevere for. Dong Huangli licked her lips. Ali won't be polite then. Hearing what Dong Huangli said, a trace of an arc appeared on the corner of the two women's lips, but very quickly the arc disappeared. Daddy, Ali wants to sleep with Mommy tonight, do you want to come? Dong Huang Baiji, Yihua said faintly. Your mommy is currently under Daddy's inspection. If you perform well, you will be able to sleep with Daddy. Oh, is that so? Then Mommy, you have to perform well and strive to sleep with Daddy as soon as possible. Dong Huang Baiji, Yihua took a sip of wine then said faintly, Baiji, you bring Ali to sleep in the office today, I will go get a bed later on. Xianxia, you sleep with me. Yihua, who was sitting in a big boss position, gave out his orders. Who wants to sleep with you? I would rather sleep on the floor than sleep with you. Xianxia said with a cold expression. It's not up to you to say no. Chapter 236. After dinner, Yihua released the confinement of the two women and got a bed and placed it in the office. The bed will be Dong Huang Baiji's bedroom for the time being. Right now, Dong Huang Baiji was accompanying her daughter. It could be said that this was the first time that Dong Huang Baiji was wholeheartedly accompanying her daughter. On the other hand, Xianxia was brought into the bedroom by Yihua. To be more precise, Xianxia was carried into the bedroom by Yihua, and Xianxia was even crying and throwing a tantrum in the bedroom, causing Yihua to feel extremely miserable. Yihua could only cast a spell on Xianxia, and only then did Xianxia fall asleep peacefully. If it was possible, Yihua wanted to directly cast a spell to turn Xianxia into the kind of woman that he wanted. However, if he were to use it, Xianxia would no longer be Xianxia. She would just be an empty shell without a soul, and this was not what Yihua wanted. Lying on the comfortable bed, Yihua hugged onto Xianxia as usual and lightly wiped away the tear stains on the corner of Xianxia's eyes. Why don't you listen to me? If you're a little more obedient, I won't bully you. You still dare to say such foolish words like wanting a divorce? If it was in the past, I would have smacked your buttocks until they were swollen and you even froze my card. You are truly a little mischievous. While speaking, Yihua himself started laughing. Xianxia is just so charming, even if she gets angry, Yihua would still like her. As for his feelings towards Dong Huang Baiji, Yihua didn't have a deep impression of her. He just felt sorry for what happened in the past, and at the same time he was also thankful that Dong Huang Baiji gave birth to Ali. Just based on this point alone, Yihua would definitely protect Dong Huang Baiji. After all, Dong Huang Baiji was already his woman, how could he possibly leave her outside? That was impossible. Within the office, Dong Huang Baiji was currently hugging onto her daughter as she slept. Ever since Ali was born, she had never hugged onto her daughter to sleep like this. As a mother, Dong Huang Baiji truly felt ashamed and a failure. However, after this incident, Dong Huang Baiji decided that she would often accompany her daughter and let her feel the warmth of a mother. Looking at Ali, who was nestled in her bosom, Dong Huang Baiji revealed out a slight smile. The smile of an empress is truly incomparably beautiful. Gulp, the empress was still a human after all. Without spiritual power, she too would be hungry. Since arriving here yesterday, other than having a pancake in the morning, The rest of his food had been alcohol. He didn't eat anything at noon or at night. Now that he was in a better mood, he was hungry. Donghuang Baiji covered her daughter's body with the blanket, then got down from the bed to see if there was anything to eat. Voidless Realm's Empress was just like a little thief as she searched for food everywhere. However, there was nothing to eat in the entire office. Stealthily opening the door to take a look, only to discover that Yihua wasn't there. Thus, I might as well go downstairs to look for Yihua. On the bar counter, other than wine, there was only more wine. Right now, Donghuang Baiji did not want to drink wine. If not, Ali would say that there was a smell of wine on her body. There should be something to eat here, right? Donghuang Baiji walked towards the leisure bar's storage area. After searching for a long time, he still couldn't find anything to eat, only drinks. What Yihua didn't know was that Yihua had already hidden away the spicy gluten to prevent Qing Yutong from secretly eating spicy gluten every day. There should be some food in this storage room, right? I am about to starve to death. It had been a long time since Donghuang Baiji experienced the feeling of hunger. After all, with the support of spiritual energy, even if she didn't eat for an entire month, it would still be fine. He opened the door of the storage room. It was pitch black inside. He touched the edge of the door. But when the light was turned on, Donghuang Baiji was immediately overjoyed. Master Kang's instant noodles, and there were even boxes of them. Open the package and take out a bucket. Finally, I don't have to suffer from hunger anymore. This damnable Yihua to actually make me, the Empress, come out in the middle of the night to look for food. Holding on to the instant noodles, Donghuang Baiji turned around and walked out of the restaurant. Suddenly, Donghuang Baiji stopped her footsteps and slowly turned her head around to look at a corner. Why does this mahogany box look so familiar? Walking forward, Donghuang Baiji opened one of the boxes, and inside the box was all gold. Looking at the mark on the gold, Donghuang Baiji's expression changed. Soon after, Donghuang Baiji opened the other boxes, and when she saw the god leaf fan, she was certain. So it was Yihua who intercepted and killed my people. If not, why would these betrothal gifts be here? This bastard actually killed my people. Yihua, get down here. Donghuang Baiji roared loudly and clenched her fists tightly, looking like she was going to fight Yihua to the death. Yihua, who was on the bed, wrinkled his brows. What is this woman doing again? Immediately disappearing from the bed, Yihua arrived at the storage room. Not sleeping in the middle of the night, what are you doing here? Yihua stood behind Donghuang Baiji and asked. Donghuang Baiji fiercely punched towards Yihua's face. Unfortunately, the speed of the punch was too slow and Yihua grabbed onto it. Donghuang Baiji, enough is enough. Don't think that just because you are my woman, you can be rude to me. Yihua tightly wrinkled his brows and lectured. Where did all these things come from? Donghuang Baiji's eyes revealed out an ominous glint. This man is taking revenge on me for marrying someone else, which is why he snatched the betrothal gifts and killed my people. Yihua took a look at the red wooden box at the side and said faintly, what does where they came from have to do with you? Quickly go back and sleep. You bastard, did you snatch them because you know that they are my betrothal gifts? Donghuang Baiji questioned. Yihua's expression immediately became serious. Betrothal gifts? You want to marry someone? That's right, but I am not marrying someone, I am marrying someone. Donghuang Baiji shouted out. Yihua immediately felt bad, and the strength of his hand became stronger and stronger. Donghuang Baiji could feel the strength of Yihua's hand, and her wrist felt like it was going to break, but she did not make a sound. You want to make me a cuckold? Yihua's ice-cold voice seemed to have come out from hell, causing one's heart to tremble with fear. That's right, I want to make you a cuckold, what are you going to do about it? Yihua's face was slightly twitching, and his gaze was changing, seemingly wanting to return to the state he was in 5 years ago. Looking at Yihua's current state, Donghuang Baiji felt a bit scared from the bottom of her heart. Suddenly Yihua let go of Donghuang Baiji's hand and fell onto the ground powerlessly. The demon that had been in a coma for 5 years was slowly waking up, and the remaining humanity that was left in him was slowly being devoured by the demon. This woman actually dared to make me a cuckold. Damn it. Everyone has to die. Donghuang Baiji started panicking, because Yihua's current state was just like him going berserk. However, even though it felt great to see Yihua like this, she still couldn't bear to do it. Yihua, what happened to you? Donghuang Baiji hurriedly helped Yihua up and asked nervously. Yihua stared fixedly at Donghuang Baiji and asked, You made me a cuckold? You snatched my betrothal gifts, who am I going to find to make you a cuckold? Donghuang Baiji was speechless. Is there no logic at all? Yihua was startled, and the demon within his body gradually went back to sleep. His humanity had completely won. In that instant just now, Yihua thought that Donghuang Baiji had already made him a cuckold. This is completely unacceptable, and I even had the heart to kill everyone. However, I was mistaken. I only had this thought, but I didn't succeed. However, even if I had this thought, it wouldn't work. Chapter 237. Pulling Donghuang Baiji into his embrace, Yihua asked coldly, "Why do you want to cuckold me?" Donghuang Baiji struggled in Yihua's embrace, but it was useless. "I want to cuckold you, you ungrateful fellow." Yihua pressed Donghuang Baiji onto his thighs, then raised his hand and slapped. "Ah!" Donghuang Baiji couldn't help but let out a moan. "This is truly shocking. You bastard, you hit me again." "Ah." Yihua said coldly, "Baiji, if not for Ali, I would have smacked your butt until it swells. Go ahead and hit me, then I will tell my daughter about it later. Let's see how her father hits her mother." Donghuang Baiji's words seemed to be revealing some information, causing Yihua to stop. Adding on Donghuang Baiji's concerned expression just now, Yihua felt that this woman definitely still had feelings for him. "Baiji, do you still like me?" Yihua asked curiously. "Even if I like a ghost, I won't like you. A woman who says one thing but means another, she's the same as Xianxia." Yihua turned around and pressed Donghuang Baiji onto the ground, then immediately kissed her. Donghuang Baiji opened her eyes wide and struggled with all her might. However, facing the terrifying Yihua, she was completely useless. Yihua's sinful hand stretched into Donghuang Baiji's body and moved around Donghuang Baiji's delicate body. Every inch of Donghuang Baiji's body felt extremely good to the touch. Compared to 3 years ago, Donghuang Baiji's body was much more supple and supple. This situation made Donghuang Baiji think back to that night 3 years ago. That night was filled with both pain and happiness. "Baiji, you are the same as 3 years ago, feeling fast." Yihua took out his sinful hand and waved it in front of Donghuang Baiji's eyes. Donghuang Baiji didn't know where she got the strength from, but she pushed Yihua to the side, then ran out while covering her face. Yihua didn't chase after her. He sat on the ground and laughed lightly. "Seems like my charm is still the same as back then." Donghuang Baiji, who ran upstairs, crawled into her blanket. Her face was extremely beautiful with a blush. Thinking back to what happened just now, why am I so useless? Originally, I wanted to settle the score with him, but in the end I was even feeling. I am so embarrassed. At this moment, the Empress was like a little woman in love. That kind of coquettish pout and bashful anger was especially charming. Actually, for some reason, when she saw those big red wooden chests, she felt a little happy. Hearing that the office door was opened, Donghuang Baiji wrinkled her brows. Why did he come in? Could it be that he wanted to? "Bastard, my daughter is still asleep." He heard the door being closed again and the footsteps leaving. Donghuang Baiji raised her head slightly and took a look. This person came in and then went out? What was the meaning of this? Looking at the instant noodles on the coffee table, Donghuang Baiji immediately understood. The Empress, have lost all of my face. In any case, he had already lost all his face. What's the big deal? Let's make some noodles first. She didn't expect him to prepare a super large ham sausage. He was quite attentive. Crazy hints. The fragrance of the instant noodles quickly woke up Donghuang Li, who was asleep. Whooshed, seeing that her mommy was eating noodles, Donghuang Li rubbed her big eyes. "Mommy, what are you eating?" "Mommy is eating instant noodles." Donghuang Baiji felt very awkward, being caught by her daughter while eating instant noodles secretly. "Ali, come over, mommy will feed you." "Ali, come over, mommy will feed you." Donghuang Li, who had tasted instant noodles for the first time, felt that it was great. The noodles are elastic and tenacious, and the taste is also super fragrant. In just a few moments, the mother and daughter finished eating a bucket of instant noodles. "Mommy, Ali isn't full, I'm hungry." Donghuang Li pouted her small mouth. Donghuang Baiji also wanted to eat instant noodles. She wasn't full at all. "Let's go down and get some, but Ali can't tell Daddy, if not Daddy will be very fierce. And Ali will keep it a secret." The mother and daughter secretly ran downstairs and brought back 2 more buckets of instant noodles. "The fragrance is so fragrant." Yihua, who was hugging onto Xianxia, laughed lightly. "This Donghuang Baiji is a bit interesting, she suits my taste." The torturous day was finally over, and at the same time, a new day had arrived. Who knows what will happen on this day? Voidless Realm's morning was just like a fairyland. Clouds and mist lingered around the place, and spiritual energy was abundant. It was an exceptionally good place to train. Right now, within the palace hall, the 8 elders had a grave expression on their faces. The throne was completely empty, and it was truly making them anxious. I think that there is something wrong with this matter. Yuan shouted out angrily. Xuanhuan stroked his beard and said, Brother Yuan, why do you say such a thing? The little prince has mysteriously disappeared, and now the empress has also disappeared. Is this still not enough to prove that something is wrong? Yuan shouted out with his hands behind his back. The empress has already disappeared for an entire day, how can I not be worried about such a big matter? What Brother Yuan said is extremely true. I also think that the disappearance of the empress and the little prince isn't a coincidence. Most probably someone planned this. Perhaps it might be that group of robbers. He Xian agreed with Yuan's opinion. Xuanhuan shook his head. The empress is very strong, who would be able to kidnap the empress? Most probably the empress missed her daughter very much and went out to look for her daughter. Everyone remained silent. Everyone would rather believe in this speculation. No one wanted anything to happen to the empress. An imperial guard suddenly ran into the palace hall and shouted out, Ying families Ying Shang and Ying Kangsha request to meet the empress. Yuan waved his hand, and the imperial guard left the palace respectfully. This is great, where are we going to find an empress? Yuan stomped his feet angrily. Of all times the empress had gone missing. Everyone remained silent. He Xian said in a deep voice, How many forces in this world do you think can kidnap the empress? Ying family Ji family. Everyone blurted out. He Xian continued, This time, Ying family is definitely here to demand an explanation. However, the empress isn't here, can they be willing? He Xian. You are saying that Ying family kidnapped the empress and then deliberately came here just to find an excuse to start a war? Yuan exclaimed. He Xian nodded his head but still said, Maybe I am thinking too much. I would rather kill the wrong person than let them go, I might as well take their lives. Xuanhuan was also a cruel and merciless person. He Xian shook his head and said indifferently, If the empress was really kidnapped by the Ying family, killing them would also put the empress in danger. If the empress wasn't kidnapped by them, but by the Ji family, it would be a situation of watching the tigers fight. In that case we can't kill the people of Ying family anyway? Yuan sneered. Without the empress to take charge of the overall situation, it was really a mess. He Xian nodded his head. Yuan, you come with me to meet the empress first and appease her. After all, if the empress was in such a situation, her reputation would be in danger. Not only would her reputation be in danger, everyone in the cultivation world was talking about the empress. Behind this illegitimate daughter, was there a degeneration of morals, or was there a distortion of human nature? No matter what, although no one said it out loud but it had already spread. The empress's man was really awesome. Chapter 238. Yuan and He Xian came to the living room to welcome the two from the Ying family. Ying Shang and Ying Kangsha did not put on stern expressions. Ying Shang was in a normal state while Ying Kangsha looked excited. He was about to see the empress and just thinking about it made him really excited. When the four of them met, it was inevitable that they would be polite to each other. Ying Kangsha couldn't hold himself back anymore and asked, When is the empress coming? Yi Xian smiled. Young Master Ying, the empress is currently in seclusion, and it will be a very long time before she comes out. Does that mean that the empress isn't willing to see us? Ying Shang's attitude instantly changed. This was clearly an excuse. Ying Kangsha hurriedly said, It doesn't matter. We'll just wait. Shut up. You good for nothing. Ying Shang sternly rebuked. Why did his elder brother ask him to bring such an idiot with him? With a gloomy expression, Yuan said coldly, Forgive me for speaking bluntly, but your majesty indeed had the intention of forming a marriage alliance with the Ying family. However, it seems that your son is impotent, so the marriage alliance is naturally nullified. Moreover, the betrothal gifts were stolen on the way. Bang! Ying Shang slammed the table. His eyes were as big as copper bells, and his eyeballs were about to pop out of their sockets. Whatever your empress says. Are you playing around with my Ying family? Third uncle, calm down. The empress definitely doesn't mean that. Ying Shang raised his hand and delivered a slap. How could there be such a man in the Ying family? Had he been eaten by a dog? With a single slap, Ying Kangsha fell to the ground. He covered his face in a delicate manner. Coupled with his androgynous voice, he looked exactly like a transvestite. Third uncle, you hit me. I want to tell father about this. Calling him daddy when he can't win was the character of a child. Yuan and He Xian looked at each other. It was a good thing that Ying Kangsha was crippled. Otherwise, it would be embarrassing for the empress to marry such a man. That resume was all fake. Only by seeing the real person would one know the person's character. Actually, xianxia couldn't be blamed for this. After being raped, he had already started to develop his femininity. Sometimes he would even use his flower-pinching finger, making it hard for people to defend against it. Bastard, I really want to King chop you into pieces. Xiang was infuriated when he heard Xiang's words. He had brought Xiang out to embarrass himself. He might as well lock him up on the island in the future. Xian smiled and said, "Young Master Ing is still immature. You don't have to make things difficult for him." This was a blatant mockery. Was such an insensible man worthy of the Empress? Obviously not. Xiang will make my words clear today. If your Empress doesn't come out and explain herself, I'll make it clear. 3 days later, Ing family's army will come and greet us. With Yuanda's explosive temper, he suddenly stood up and shouted out, "Sure, our voidless realm will be waiting for your arrival." Xian facepalmed. "I really can't take it anymore. You guys are too casual." Xiang did not expect the other party's attitude to be so unyielding. Originally he only wanted to scare the other party, but now it was hard for him to back down. "Alright. See you in 3 days. After saying that he picked up xianxia. Xianxia shouted, "I don't want to go. I want the Empress." Xiang knocked him out with a single slap. What a disgrace. Watching the two of them leave, Yuanda said angrily, "I'll kill them now. If we kill them now, we can't guarantee that the Ji family will also intervene. Don't forget that they are all from the south." Xian shook his head. When two armies fought, they wouldn't kill the envoys. Everyone understood this principle. "You guys are too hasty. You want to fight just like that?" Yuanda was also speechless. The other party had already said that he would fight. Could it be that he had to admit defeat? Who has Voidless Realm ever been afraid of? Xiang rushed back to Ing family and immediately called for a meeting. All of Ing family's relatives were present, of course, other than Death Mage and Sun Fang. Sun Fang was only a supervisor and didn't interfere with Ing family's internal affairs. This made Ing family let out a sigh of relief. "Family head, Voidless Realm is really going too far. That Empress doesn't even want to see us." Xiang reported the matter to his family head. Right now, xianxia woke up and said hurriedly, "Father, perhaps the Empress is really in closed-door training." "Xianxia, just which side are you on?" Xiang lectured coldly. As the family head, Jingshan still doesn't know about his son's character. "Since Voidless Realm has accepted the challenge, then let's fight. My Ing family has been quiet for too long. It's time for the world to witness the strength of my Ing family." No one objected to Jingshan's words. Ing family has been too low profile, and they are making use of this opportunity to rise up. "Father. Shut up, from today onwards you are grounded." Jingshan originally just wanted to see his son's reaction, but the result was still the same. Jingshan no longer held any hope in his heart. "Father," xianxia's moan shocked everyone present, and some of them even felt like vomiting. "No matter what, you are still a man of Ing family. How can you act coquettishly like a woman?" "Scram!" Jingshan shouted out sternly. Xianxia stomped his feet, then walked out of the Ing family. Upon seeing this, the family members shook their heads. Ing family is truly a disgrace. Family head, should we inform Lord Sun about this matter? After all, our Ing family is really going to make a big move. Xiang warned. It was still necessary to inform Jingshan of this matter. If by any chance his honor were to be angered, Ing family would have to face the consequences. Jingshan nodded his head. "Everyone prepare yourselves, I will go right now." The family members stood up, and killing intent emerged from their bodies as they shouted out in unison, "Yes." With a calm look on his face, Jingshan took the lead and walked out of the hall, preparing to report this matter to Lord Sun. Standing outside of an ordinary room, Jingshan was actually very puzzled. Why would they choose to live in such a remote place when they have such a good house? They are truly not greedy at all, but when I think about the treasures that were dug out, my heart aches. "Little skeleton. Be gentler, your fingers are hurting me." GGG, Imperial Translation, "I will be gentler then." Immediately, a comfortable moan could be heard. "Be gentler, this is comfortable, move a bit more to the left, that's right, the most important, comfortable little skeleton, your technique is not bad." GGG, Imperial Translation, "I have an even faster hand speed, do you want to give it a try?" Jingshan, who was standing outside of the room, felt very awkward. They are currently having fun in the bedroom, it doesn't seem good to disturb them like this. I should just wait for a while. The two people in the room were both sitting on the bed. Sun Fang's back was facing Death Mage, and Death Mage was using his fingertips to scratch Sun Fang's itch. "Alright, stop scratching, there are people coming from outside, I will go and take a look." Sun Fang rolled her eyes at Death Mage. Ever since the two of them had pierced through that last piece of paper, the atmosphere between them had often become ambiguous. Death Mage was no longer as domineering as before and had become like a little puppy. Death Mage picked up his phone and began tapping on the screen. Biu. Recently he had returned back to the fishing world. Don't ask why, it was because he had money now. And right now, Sun Fang also didn't want to kill Death Mage. Recently she had been playing Honor of Kings and Death Mage was not interested in that game. What fun is there in being the boss if you can't top up your money? Is there anything? Sun Fang opened the door and asked. Chapter 239. Lord Sun, it's like this, 3 days later my Ing family will be attacking Voidless Realm, and I came over to inform you about this. Ing Jingshan bowed and said respectfully. Attacking Voidless Realm, isn't this the result that his honor wants? Sun Fang nodded. And I understand. If there's nothing else, then go and prepare. All right. After greeting them, Ing Jingshan went to take charge of the overall situation. They had to win this battle no matter what. After all, this was the first battle that the Ing family was going to face after leaving the mountain. After returning back to the room, Sun Fang told Death Mage about what happened. Death Mage didn't report this matter to his honor. After all, his honor had already said that it would be better for them to fight as fiercely as possible. Sun Fang leaned on Death Mage's shoulder bone and opened up the game. She said faintly, Battle of the World seems to have brought heavy dust to the sea to look for treasures. Imperial translation. He's dug up the entirety of the Ing clan's island. Sun Fang sighed. If only you could speak human language. I have to guess every time. Imperial translation. You can go and beg his honor then. In any case, I'm not going to go and beg his honor. If not, his honor would think that I like you a lot. Are you telling me to go and beg his honor? I'm not going to go and strangle you, you are making it seem as if I like you a lot. There isn't even a bit of flesh on your body and when you lean against me it feels very hard. After finished speaking, Sun Fang took a pillow and placed it on her shoulder bone. Death Mage was speechless. Only yesterday, his honor said that he was going to bestow me with a fleshly body. You are the one who is not willing to give me a fleshly body. Sun Fang was also very depressed. If I had known that this would happen, I would have not cared about my face yesterday and asked his honor to bestow me a body. I have a boyfriend, yet I am unable to touch him. His subordinates women were thinking of ways and means to push each other down, and as the boss Yihua was currently thinking of how to make them stop, let alone push each other down. Holding on to Xianxia who had a cold expression on her face, Yihua came to buy fruit crepes again. The middle-aged woman smiled but did not say anything. This young man brought one a day. He was really amazing. Was he not afraid of failing? Haha, this Captain Yihua's ship had already capsized long ago, and he is currently in the midst of making up for it. Xianxia, don't have such a cold face, smile a bit. Yihua said lightly. In actuality, Xianxia who had a cold face was very interesting, and I feel that it is very challenging. Move aside. Xianxia shouted out coldly and fiercely took a bite of the Chinese jianbing. My stomach is about to shrivel up from hunger, I can't let my stomach suffer when I get angry at him. Eat slowly, no one is going to fight with you over your food. Yihua couldn't help but tease, then took the lead and walked into leisure bar. Xianxia who was at the back said fiercely, I want to eat big mouthfuls of food, what can you do to me? While holding onto the Chinese crepe, Yihua walked into the office. Right now, Donghuang Baiji had already woken up, and Donghuang Li was still sleeping soundly. I bought breakfast for you. Yihua placed the Chinese jianbing on the coffee table. Get out. Donghuang Baiji stood beside the window with her back facing Yihua. Eat less instant noodles. Do you think I won't know if you throw it away? The whole house is filled with that smell. Donghuang Baiji said gravely, it's none of your business. Yihua slowly walked towards Donghuang Baiji, and when Donghuang Baiji heard the footsteps getting closer and closer, her heartbeat became faster and faster. Reaching out his hands, he hugged her slender waist and pulled her into his arms. Let go of me. Donghuang Baiji shouted out gravely. Yihua said faintly, Baiji, although you are very dishonest, your body is much more honest than other people. You scoundrel. A layer of redness appeared on Donghuang Baiji's fair face. Although I haven't been with you for a long time, I know what you are thinking. If not, you wouldn't have resisted. Yihua moved closer to Donghuang Baiji's ear and said, causing Donghuang Baiji's heart to be in a mess. You are grabbing onto my hand. How am I supposed to resist? Yi Hua laughed lightly. Baiji, for the sake of Ali, we should let go of our grudges. I hope that Ali can have a mother's love and care, and of course I can't lack my love and care as well. We will be a family. Donghuang Baiji became silent, because this was what she desired the most from the bottom of her heart. For the sake of Ali, she was willing to try. Seeing that Donghuang Baiji became silent, Yi Hua's pair of evil hands started moving around again. Stop messing around. Our daughter is here. Donghuang Baiji shouted out. Baiji, are you saying that if our daughter isn't here I can do it? Go and die. What a hypocritical woman. Although you are saying that you don't want to do it, your body has already fallen into my embrace. Yi Hua laughed lightly. Donghuang Baiji said in disdain, you definitely cast a spell on me. If not, how would I be like this? Baiji, don't lie to yourself anymore, you do like me. Bullshit. Donghuang Li, who was on the bed, rubbed her eyes, then turned her head around and looked towards her father and mother, then cried out in surprise, Daddy, Mommy, have you two reconciled? Ali is too happy. Yi Hua let go of Donghuang Baiji and carried his daughter into his embrace. Daddy has forgiven Mommy. That's great, Daddy is so handsome. After saying that, Donghuang Baiji kissed Donghuang Baiji. Soon after, Donghuang Baiji didn't forget to kiss her mother as well. What a harmonious family of three. However, Yi Hua knew that if he wanted to make the two of them submit to him wholeheartedly, this was not enough at all. Yi Hua had been thinking for the entire night. Because back in the storage room, Donghuang Baiji's concern had touched Yi Hua. This meant that only when I am in danger would they reveal their sincerity. From the looks of it, I have to hold the second meeting today to discuss how to make me in danger without losing his honor's face. Baiji, bring Ali to wash up and eat breakfast, I have something to do. Yi Hua said and walked out of the office. Donghuang Baiji carried her daughter. Ali, do you like Daddy a bit more? Or do you like Mommy a bit more? Ali likes both of them. Donghuang Baiji pinched onto her daughter's little nose lovingly. You little fellow, you also know how to play dumb. Hehe, Ali loves Mommy the most, Mommy loves Ali too. The relationship between the mother and daughter slowly warmed up. After all, the previous Donghuang Baiji was very strict, and the current version of Donghuang Baiji was more like a mother. Seeing that Xianxia was going upstairs, Donghuang Baiji shouted out, Xianxia, there is something that I need your help with. And? Xianxia was very puzzled. Come in and talk. Donghuang Baiji appeared to be very sneaky, as if she was afraid of being discovered by Yi Hua. Xianxia could tell that Donghuang Baiji seemed to have a way to help Yi Hua, and thus, Donghuang Baiji entered Qing Yutong's room stealthily. Sit. Donghuang Baiji said with a smile. Xianxia asked curiously, you seem to be in a good mood today. Upon hearing Xianxia's question, Donghuang Baiji's expression immediately changed. Who is in a good mood today? Xianxia, do you still remember the matter that we talked about yesterday? Donghuang Baiji asked. You are talking about leaving this place? Donghuang Baiji nodded her head. Chapter 240. Donghuang Baiji naturally knew that. After all, as a woman who was once an empress, her way of thinking would definitely be different. Xianxia, what we need to do is very simple. As long as we anger Yi Hua, he will let us go. Are you sure that you want to let us go and not spank our butts? Xianxia didn't believe it. That fellow loves to spank and touch people's butts. Donghuang Baiji wasn't very sure. Why are you in a hurry to go out? Xianxia asked curiously. Donghuang Baiji let out a breath. I have a very urgent matter to deal with at home. The two women became silent. Xianxia's gaze could be seen revealing a firm look. Let's try, isn't it just a spanking? In any case, I am pregnant and he won't spank me but you. I have Ali. Donghuang Baiji was smart now, she looked for her daughter for help. The two women looked at each other and smiled. If we go out, where do you plan to go? Donghuang Baiji asked while pouring a cup of water for Xianxia. This was the first time Donghuang Baiji poured a cup of water for someone after she became an empress. Xianxia shook her head. I don't know. Let's go to my place. After all, my place is safe and suitable for nurturing the fetus. Children are more important. Xianxia didn't dare to go back, and she also didn't want to go back to her home in Gaohai City. Xianxia sighed. Let's see if we can get out first. All right. While the two women were planning to break out of the prison in the office, Yi Hua successfully held the second meeting in the toilet. Yi Zizi, Wei Chang, and Lai Gu stood respectfully in front of Yi Hua, waiting for his honor's orders. I am currently facing the biggest crisis in history, Yi Hua said gravely. The three shouted out in unison, subordinates are willing to solve your honor's problems. Very good. I have decided to learn from humans and become a hero to save the beauties. Yihua seemed to have already seen Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji being so touched that they would pounce into his embrace, then act coquettishly. His beautiful life was about to begin again, and in the future he would also be a person who would be hugging beauties on his left and right. While fantasizing, Yihua revealed an arc on the corner of his mouth. Yihua pouted her small mouth and said, "But Your Honor, those heroes that saved the beauties that we met in the past didn't end up well, they were all killed by us." "Zizi, are you saying that I can't be a hero and save the beauty?" Yihua, who was a little complacent just a moment ago, immediately became serious. Zizi said sweetly, "Zizi is a girl. Of course, I know what the madams are thinking. Although the hero saving the beauty can make them feel better, it can't achieve the best effect. After all, the hero saving the beauty is a bit old." Hearing what Zizi said, Yihua also felt that this was an old trick. The two of them are so smart, if they were to see through this old trick, it would be awkward. My reputation would be ruined because of this old trick. Wei Chang, tell me. Wei Chang wrinkled his brows and said in a deep voice, "Your Honor, since ancient times, heroes have always found it hard to resist the charms of a beautiful woman. However, there is a need to lay the foundation in order to win the heart of a beautiful woman." Yihua's eyes lit up. Seems like Wei Chang has improved. Go on. The hero saving the beauty is a good idea, but in terms of the result, we should be more outstanding. Wei Chang smiled, thinking that this method was feasible. Lai Gu immediately slapped his thigh. "I understand. Gluttonous monster's meaning is to let Your Honor display his godly might and let the madams be immersed in Your Honor's heroism and be unable to extricate themselves from it." Lai Gu cried out in surprise. "I didn't expect that this gluttonous monster is becoming more and more intelligent." Yihua felt that it wasn't that it was impossible, but it was lacking something. Yihua said faintly, "Ever since I came here, I have never come across any danger, let alone any danger that threatened my life." "Your Honor, what subordinate is talking about is this point," Wei Chang explained. Yihua indicated to Wei Chang to continue speaking. "The madams love Your Honor, that is an undeniable fact." This bootlicking was done well, causing Yihua to feel happy. However, because of some matters, the madams hid their sincerity. What Your Honor needs to do is to reveal the sincerity of the madams. Wei Chang, that is exactly what I am thinking, just that I don't know what method to use. Zizi suddenly said, "If Your Honor is going to die, I reckon that the madams will definitely not be able to sit still." Wei Chang nodded his head. "That's right, on the basis of this hero saving the beauty, we should increase the difficulty by a bit." Lai Gu slapped onto his thigh once again. "I understand. Your Honor is going to be the hero saving the beauty, and after defeating the enemy with great difficulty, you ended up suffering from serious injuries. If you do that, the madams will definitely be touched to death." This time Lai Gu finally guessed correctly. Yihua took out a cigarette and lit it up. "Since we are going to act out a hero saving the beauty, then we have to make it a bit more realistic. We have to see blood with every move and we have to have people die. We have to have a big scene, only then will it be shocking." "Your Honor, leave these things to subordinate. Subordinate will go and look for the actors to cooperate with us." Wei Chang smiled. Lai Gu raised his hand and shouted out, "I will be the bad guy." "Wei Chang, you will be the bad guy too. Your identity cannot be discovered by the madams. As for Yi Zizi, forget about it, it will be too easy for the madams to recognize you." Yihua had already decided, victory or defeat will be determined by this battle. Suddenly thinking of something, Yihua said, "Then doesn't that mean that I have to chase them away?" The three subordinates nodded their heads seriously. "If I don't chase them away, how am I going to act out this show? Then later on I will think of a way to chase them away. Lai Gu, you take care of their safety and wait for my command." Subordinate obeys. Yihua waved his hand, "All of you can leave now, let me think of a way to chase them away." After walking out of the toilet, Yihua sat on the bar counter and pondered. "If I don't say some ruthless words to them, what should I do if they don't leave? If I say some ruthless words to them, what should I do if they become heartbroken? When that time comes, don't even talk about being a hero saving the beauty, what should I do?" Just as Yihua was pondering, Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji walked down from the bar, and their expressions were still that bad. In actuality, Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji were very nervous. After having a discussion just now, they had come up with a series of plans to break out of the prison. The first plan was to anger Yihua, and there were only two consequences. One was to let Yihua go and the other was to get spanked. And when Yihua saw the two women walking over, if he were to flip out and chase them away, there would be too many situations that would happen. Also, what reason should he use to flip out? That is the problem. I am also a reasonable person and I would never act recklessly. The two women winked their beautiful eyes at each other, indicating that the show had begun. The two women walked towards Yihua at the same time, and just as they were about to get close to Yihua, Donghuang Baiji's body became unstable and fell into Yihua's embrace. Yihua, what is the meaning of this? You are hugging another woman in front of me. Xianxia immediately scolded out. Her imposing manner caused Yihua to be stupefied. However, Donghuang Baiji stood up angrily. Yihua, you actually touched my butt just now, you old hooligan. Alright, you even touched her butt, Yihua. Xianxia have misjudged you. Yihua was currently in a stupefied state. What are we doing? Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji were also very puzzled. I have already scolded out like this, why aren't you reacting? It would be good if you show some expression, don't be so silly. Chapter 241. The atmosphere couldn't be so awkward. The two women hurriedly thought of a countermeasure. Yihua, don't you have anything to explain? Xianxia shouted coldly. Yihua felt that this was an opportunity that was delivered to his doorstep, and it just so happens that I can chase them away. What the hell are you two doing? Do you want to get beaten up? Yihua shouted out with a straight face. However, not knowing why, Yihua wanted to laugh, thus his expression was a bit distorted. But in the eyes of the two women, this situation was too good. Donghuang Baiji shouted out in anger, you only know how to use domestic violence. I've had enough, I want to leave you. I've had enough too. I want to go out. You can't lock us up. Yihua was stupefied. This is too easy, isn't it? I, the Supreme Overlord, didn't even chase them away and they want to leave by themselves? This is great. But he couldn't show it, much less let them see it. Impossible. Yihua shouted out. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji knew that this would happen, and they stared at Yihua with their beautiful eyes. And when Yihua saw that the two women were no longer resisting, he cried out in distress. Was my tone just now too heavy? If he had known this would happen, he would have let them leave just now. Now that they refused to leave, he had really shot himself in the foot. It seemed like it was time to test his acting skills. I, the Supreme Overlord, will let you see what is called acting skills. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji took a look at each other. Seems like we still have to rely on our acting skills. If the two of you dare to walk even a bit, I will beat your butts into mush. Yihua shouted out fiercely, and his acting was a bit exaggerated. But in the eyes of the two women, it wasn't exaggerated at all. It was just this kind of expression. If you have the guts, come and fight me. Donghuang Baiji shouted out. Not to be outdone, Xianxia said, if you don't spank my butt today, then you are a grandson. Fine, you forced me to do this. Yihua waved his hand, and the two delicate beauties automatically flew over to Yihua. With their buttocks raised, the two beauties appeared in front of Yihua. This position was definitely a blessing, 100% blessing. Imagining two beauties with their buttocks sticking out in front of him, tsk, he could only imagine it himself. Yihua raised both of his hands and slapped towards Xianxia. Yihua used a bit of strength, and Xianxia's side was in a slightly better condition. Papa, Yihua. I can't stand you anymore, you are domestic abusing me, I want to leave. Xianxia bawled loudly. Xianxia's acting was pretty good, in actuality she didn't feel any pain at all, it was more or less the same as caressing. Meanwhile, Donghuang Baiji was truly feeling a bit of pain. Yihua, you bastard, it hurts so much. I want to leave you, tyrant. I want to leave too. Yihua was overjoyed. I was just waiting for you two to say this. After stopping the whipping, Yihua said gravely, are you all really going to leave me? This tone, this deep tone, it was simply the call of an infatuated man to his beloved wife. Seeing that the two women were not speaking anymore, Yihua wished that he could slap himself. Why did I have to be so flirtatious? What if I don't want to leave? Yes, we have to leave. Seeing how certain the two women were, Yihua felt at ease. Mommy, why did you leave Daddy? Donghuang Li suddenly ran over, pulled onto Donghuang Baiji and asked. Yihua hugged onto his daughter and said gravely, Ali, Mommy doesn't want us anymore. Donghuang Baiji really wanted to smack Yihua's butt. What the hell is this? This is completely slandering me. After I finish my matter, I still have to come back here. Ouch. What's wrong with me? I still want to come back. Xianxia, are you really going to leave me? Yihua's pair of deep black eyes looked at Xianxia, and traces of tenderness could be seen within. Who said that the Supreme Overlord doesn't have any acting skills? The Oscars owe his honor a golden man. Xianxia didn't dare to look straight at Yihua's gaze. I want to go out and calm down. Alright, since the two of you have already decided, I will let the two of you go. From today onwards, Ali and I will live together, all of you scram. Yihua hugged onto his daughter, turned around and then waved his hand. The seal on Donghuang Baiji's body was removed, and the seal on Purity Bar was removed as well. Looking at Yihua, who was hugging onto Donghuang Li, who was crying, Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji couldn't bear to watch anymore. However, thinking about how bad Yihua was, Xianxia clenched her teeth and walked out of the bar. Donghuang Baiji wrinkled her brows. Ali can be at ease with Yihua. I will explain everything to Ali when I come back. After the two women walked out of the bar, Donghuang Baiji asked, Xianxia, have you made your decision? And since I don't have anywhere else to go, I will just go to your place first. Xianxia said powerlessly. After walking out of the bar, she couldn't bear to part with Donghuang Baiji. Donghuang Baiji nodded her head. She felt that something was amiss. Xianxia, don't you feel that Yihua is acting very strange today? Yesterday he wanted to lock us up for our entire lives, and yet today he is letting us go so easily? As expected of the Empress, she immediately realized what was going on. If Yihua's performance just now wasn't on point, she would definitely be even more suspicious of him. Perhaps he really gave up. In actuality, Xianxia felt very uncomfortable in her heart. Yihua really doesn't want me anymore. Donghuang Baiji let out a deep sigh. She didn't know if what Yihua did was right or wrong. Yihua stood in the office and looked at the two women, then said, Hurry up and leave, don't dawdle anymore. Daddy, how can you let mommy go? Yihua smiled and explained to his daughter. He didn't want Ali to really think that mommy doesn't want her anymore. After hearing her father's explanation, Donghuang Li immediately understood. Daddy is still the formidable one. Mommy and Aunt Qing were both deceived. Daddy, this isn't lying, this is love. And Ali understands. Donghuang Li had a look of, I am an experienced person, causing Yihua to laugh out loud. When Yihua looked downstairs and saw that the two women were already nowhere to be seen, Yihua felt relieved. Ligu, are you keeping up? Your Honor, this Madame Donghuang is a bit formidable. Ligu followed Donghuang Baiji to Voidless Realm, and upon seeing the scene in front of him, Ligu was shocked. What do you mean? Ligu let out a sigh. I also don't know what to say. I saw that those people were all kneeling down to welcome Madame Donghuang. So awesome. Yihua was also very astonished. Soon after, Yihua said, Lend me your eyes and let me take a look. With the help of Ligu's eyes, Yihua was able to see the scene. As expected of my woman, this Empress style is indeed very strong. It is causing my desire to conquer her to become stronger and stronger. Ligu, continue to protect the two of them and wait for my orders. Yes. Right now, Xianxia was also very stupefied. With a Bayou sound, I felt as if I had arrived at another world, and everyone in this world was kneeling down to welcome Donghuang Baiji. And she was actually the Empress of this place. My God. Not only is she a cultivator, she is also an Empress. Xianxia immediately lost her confidence. Compared to Donghuang Baiji, I am only rich, I am too useless. The 8 elders hurriedly rushed over and said gravely, Welcome, Your Majesty. You may rise. Your Majesty, Ying family is going to attack us 3 days later. Your Majesty, please lead us and fight against the enemy. Yuanda shouted out gravely. Soon after, everyone in Voidless Realm started shouting out, causing Xianxia's blood to boil. Donghuang Baiji's beautiful eyes became serious. Since they dare to come, then let's make sure that they will not be able to return. Our Majesty is mighty. Our Majesty is mighty. Our Majesty is mighty. What they didn't know was that their Empress was being molested by Yihua last night. Chapter 242. Donghuang Baiji was a bit embarrassed. Right now the battle was about to start. Donghuang Baiji said, Xianxia, do you want to go back or continue staying here? If you stay, I will ensure your safety. Stay here. Xianxia said faintly. If I were to go back now, wouldn't I be completely suppressed by Yihua? In the future I would definitely be bullied by Yihua. However, from what Yihua said, it seems like he doesn't plan to look for me anymore. I might as well learn from Donghuang Baiji and give birth to the child myself. And how about you stay in Ali's courtyard? That place is quieter and safer. Donghuang Baiji was still very concerned about Xianxia. Both of us are women who have a hard life. Why should I make things difficult for Xianxia? After making arrangements for Xianxia, Donghuang Baiji began discussing with her 8 subordinates about the battle strategy to make sure that Ying family won't be able to return alive. Yi Hua was currently in a good mood and he was currently in the 4th row. Daddy, Ali's 98k is for you. Papa, I'll give you Ali's high magnification scope. Papa, Ali's level 3 armor is for you. Daddy, I'll give you Ali's level 3 helmet as well. Being taken care of by his daughter, Yi Hua felt very touched. Not only was he taken care of by his daughter, but he was also carried by his daughter to win PUBG. This was a little hurtful. He had to teach his daughter not to cheat in games. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi sat at the side and lightly smiled, not saying a word. Of course, Dong Huangli wouldn't allow the child to play games all day and night. It would be fine as long as it was appropriate. In the afternoon, Dong Huangli began to practice her cultivation technique, while Yi Hua was thinking about how to be a hero and save the beauty. For example, what lines to say and so on. All of those lines have to be shocking and moving, and I have to move the beauty to death. I won't be able to leave them even for a second. Before he knew it, he had arrived at the storage room. When he saw the few boxes of mahogany, he immediately contacted Wei Chang. How did Death Mage send these things over? Replying to your honor, subordinate doesn't know either. Let subordinate ask around first. Hurry up. After Wei Chang finished asking, Wei Chang immediately replied, Your honor, these are the betrothal gifts that Death Mage snatched from a power called Voidless Realm. Yi Hua laughed lightly. So she is the Empress of Voidless Realm. However, I seem to have heard of this Voidless Realm somewhere before. Sounds so familiar. Yi Hua and Wei Chang seem to have thought of the same direction. Your honor. I heard from Death Mage that the negotiations seem to have broken down, and the battle will start 3 days later. Yi Hua's expression froze. My subordinate's power went to beat up my wife's power, isn't this too much of a coincidence? Your honor, this is a great opportunity. Yi Hua wrinkled his brows. What do you mean? From the start, subordinate had planned to let Ying family be the extras. But now there is no need for us to arrange any plot at all. When the time comes, his honor can just appear and save the damsel in distress. Yi Hua thought for a bit. This idea of Wei Chang's is feasible, and it will save me quite a bit of trouble. Furthermore, it has also fulfilled my requirements of having a big scene. Alright. 3 days later we will take down Voidless Realm in one go. Yes, your holiness. After ending the call, Yi Hua carefully thought about it. This is simply killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I can even take over Donghuang Baiji's power. Death Mage, you have done well in snatching, you have given me my wife and daughter, I will be greatly rewarded. Next, Yi Hua could only calmly wait for the hero to save the beauty 3 days later. I cannot be careless with this matter. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi would definitely not be able to participate in the performance this time around, the 2 of them would only cause trouble, and when the time comes, it would be awkward for them to be exposed. And this time, one side was Ying family and the other side was Voidless Realm. Ying family attacked, Voidless Realm defended. The bad guys would be Wei Chang and Lai Gu. Death Mage and Sun Fang cannot appear after all, both of them had been exposed before. Yi Hua was rather cautious. Meanwhile, Wei Chang and Lai Gu had to change their identities and go. Of course, I have to inform Ying family about this matter. If I were to appear and make everyone kneel down, what is there to save? Of course I have to fight for real. With Wei Chang and Lai Gu suppressing Voidless Realm, it is certain that Voidless Realm will lose. In the end, when I appear in front of the 2 women while riding on a 5-colored auspicious cloud, I don't believe that the 2 women won't be moved. This plan can only succeed, it cannot fail. This plan concerns the harmony of the entire family. This kind of noise is making me tired. Ying family. Wei Chang had already told Death Mage and Sun Fang about the plan, and also expressed his honor's attitude towards this matter. If the plan were to be messed up, the consequences would be very serious. After Death Mage and Sun Fang found out about the plan, they first went silent for a moment, then went to look for Ying family's patriarch. Right now it was already the middle of the night and most of the people had already fallen asleep. Sun Fang walked in front of Death Mage. After all, from the identity that Yi Hua gave to Sun Fang's status in Ying family was higher than Death Mage, and Death Mage was at most just an assistant. Lord Sun. The Imperial guards who were standing at the entrance were startled and hurriedly kneeled down. Sun Fang's expression sunk. This is a big matter, if something were to happen I will have to take responsibility. The main point is that I did not participate in such a big matter, how am I supposed to control the situation? My head hurts. Sun Fang waved her hand and directly walked into Ying Jingshan's bedroom. The maids who were waiting outside hurriedly kneeled down and cried out, Lord Sun. Ask your family patriarch to come out for a moment. Sun Fang sat on a small stone bench outside of the bedroom, and Death Mage stood behind her. That vigilant gaze of his seemed to be saying, "Whoever dares to be disrespectful to my ugly woman, I will kill them all." The maids looked at each other. "Even the family patriarch is resting? Hurry up, don't make me wait too long." After interacting with Death Mage, Sun Fang unknowingly became a bit vicious, and she was no longer as gentle as before. Without waiting for the maids to leave, Jingshan, who was wearing his pajamas, opened the door and walked out. "All of you can leave first." The maids had a nervous look on their faces as they bowed and left. "Lord Sun, why are you looking for subordinates so late at night?" Jingshan arrived in front of Sun Fang and cupped his hands. Sun Fang looked at Jingshan, and the latter hurriedly lowered his head. "Lord Sun is very strange today, her complexion is so bad. His Honor has ordered that he will send 2 people to assist you all in attacking Voidless Realm." Jingshan was overjoyed and immediately kneeled down and shouted out, "His Honor is a wise person, he loves us so much." Sun Fang said faintly, "The 2 people that His Honor sent out are only to assist you all, and they will only take action when you all are in danger. As for the rest, you all still have to rely on yourselves." Even if that was the case, Jingshan was still overjoyed. It's fine, this is Ing family's matter to begin with. For His Honor to be willing to help us, we are already extremely honored." Jingshan's attitude made Sun Fang feel satisfied. From the looks of it, His Honor is able to accomplish his goal with this move of his. His Honor is indeed extremely intelligent. "Yihua, I am only going to let them be extras, that's all." Jingshan stood up and said with a slight smile, "Is it Lord Sun and Death Mage?" Sun Fang shook her head. Jingshan finally understood why the 2 of them had such a gloomy look on their faces. It turns out that His Honor didn't send the 2 of them to attack Voidless Realm. Sun Fang stood up and warned one last time, "If His Honor appears, do not pay attention to him and do not bow to him. Just act as if you don't know him and do what you are supposed to do. Remember this point because this matter concerns our lives." After hearing what Sun Fang said, Jingshan's heart sunk. He didn't dare to be careless in the slightest. "Lord Sun, please be at ease, I will make the arrangements." Chapter 243. Jingshan, who was standing in the courtyard, had his brows tightly wrinkled. His Honor is going to appear on that day as well? Why did he appear? Could it be that he is planning to subdue Voidless Realm? The possibility of that happening was extremely high. Jingshan immediately called for a clan meeting to discuss countermeasures. At that time, when His Honor really appears, everything will proceed according to the plan. All of Ing family's people must keep their mouths shut, lest they ruin His Honor's plans and lead to the destruction of Ing family. Everyone was guessing what the purpose of His Honor's operation this time around was. If His Honor wants to exterminate Voidless Realm, just a single Death Mage would be more or less enough. Yet, His Honor actually sent out 2 Death Mages, and furthermore His Honor is even going to send out Death Mage himself. It seemed like he didn't want to destroy it, but to subdue it. Everyone in Ing family seemed to be a bit happy. Finally, not only am I enslaved, I am also accompanied by Voidless Realm, and I am no longer lonely. Next would be the Ji family. They could either submit or be exterminated, which was actually a very good choice. If they were destroyed, that would be the best. Then the South would be the only winner. Within Voidless Realm, right now, everyone was busy preparing to receive Ing family's attack. Donghuang Baiji personally made arrangements for Voidless Realm soldiers and officers, and after consoling them, Voidless Realm's morale was ignited. Everyone became excited. After all, this was Voidless Realm's first battle in several hundred years. Xianxia stayed in Ali's courtyard, and she was sitting in the pavilion in the courtyard with a gloomy expression while looking at the stars in the sky. It had only been less than a day and Xianxia was already starting to miss Yihua. Actually, from Yihua's point of view, it seemed that he wasn't wrong. Could it be that I was too willful? Xianxia was a bit hesitant. What if Yihua really doesn't come to look for me? Seems like I have really been captured by Yihua. Xianxia, why aren't you resting yet? Donghuang Baiji suddenly appeared in the courtyard. Donghuang Baiji had just finished her inspection and came over to check on Xianxia's situation. Xianxia forced out a smile. I was just about to go, are you alright? Donghuang Baiji sat opposite to Xianxia, and the maid immediately came over to pour tea for her. Not really, Ing family is going to attack the Voidless Realm the day after tomorrow, and at that time rivers of blood will definitely flow. Donghuang Baiji let out a deep sigh. I wonder how many people from Voidless Realm will be left after the Voidless Realm battle starts. Embarrassed, Xianxia said, I am truly ashamed that I wasn't able to help you. Xianxia, don't say it like that. This has nothing to do with you in the first place. Dong Huang Baiji laughed lightly. She felt that Qingya's personality was rather good, and they could be considered to be able to get along well with each other. If you need money, I still have some here. Yihua won quite a lot of money. I don't want his money. Dong Huang Baiji snorted coldly. Qingya laughed. In actuality, Yihua is quite formidable. If he were to come over, you would be able to relax a lot. I'm not going to go and beg him. This is a battle between Voidless Realm, what's the point of having him come here? Dong Huang Baiji naturally knew how formidable Yihua was. For him to be able to seal me, Yihua's strength was definitely above mine. If Yihua were to come and help me, he would definitely be a good helper. However, the prideful Dong Huang Baiji would definitely not go and beg Yihua. Baiji, to be honest, you still like Yihua, right? As they chatted, the two women began to talk about men. You too, right? Both women had tacitly agreed. Everything was understood without words. However, to Yihua this kind of situation was even better. Right now, he only needed to light up the fire in their hearts. Qingya, you should rest early, I will bring you around tomorrow. Alright, you should rest early too. Although the two women liked the same man, they seemed to be very courteous towards each other, and they could barely be considered as friends. However, if Yihua wanted to make the two women be like Lai Gu and the other women, he still had to work hard. After all, the two of them were not ordinary women. If Yihua wanted to have a woman on his left and a woman on his right, a big show might not be able to satisfy him, but it would definitely be able to make their relationship become better. 3 days passed by very quickly, and the entire Voidless Realm was in a state of nervousness. Over 10,000 fully armed warriors were gathered at the entrance of the barrier, and there were even 1,000 cavalries in the sky. The mounts were golden crow wings, spiritual beasts raised by Voidless Realm, and their battle prowess was extraordinary. Those hard feathers were just like black iron blades, and they were able to kill without leaving a trace. Right now, Dong Huang Baiji was standing in the sky. Dong Huang Baiji was wearing a dragon-patterned purple gown, and her pair of beautiful eyes were filled with coldness and arrogance. Behind her were 8 elders, and all of them were holding on to various types of ancient godly items. Dong Huang Baiji, who was standing in the sky, was emitting out an astonishing spiritual pressure. She looked down at all of the officers and soldiers and shouted out. Officers and soldiers, the war is coming, every inch of land is an inch of blood. For Voidless Realm. Die a worthy death. Tens of thousands of officers and soldiers knelt down on one knee and shouted out in unison, for the Empress. For Voidless Realm. The resounding sound resonated throughout the entire Voidless Realm, and even Qingya, who was standing in the courtyard, heard it. Qingya thought to herself, if I have the ability, I would be able to help as well. Unfortunately, I am just a flower vase that is being protected by everyone. Dong Huang Baiji, who was in the sky, slowly closed her beautiful eyes. When she opened her eyes again, her pair of eyes had become golden, and a drop of blood slowly rose into the sky. The blood of East Emperor, I pray for the descent of an ancient godly beast. In an instant, the entire sky looked as if it was on fire, and a terrifying might seemed to be slowly descending. A huge figure spiraled above the red clouds, and the rumbling sounds coming from the red clouds could be heard, causing people to feel fear. A huge beast swooped down. The wings on its body were golden in color, and its head was shaped like an eagle. The only difference was that it had 3 sharp claws, and its pair of eyes carried an aura of contempt. This beast's name was Three-Legged Crow, and it was an ancient godly beast. At the same time, it was also one of Voidless Realm's trump cards. It was similar to the one summoned by Sun Yi. The difference was that one was a child and the other was an adult. Furthermore, this three-legged crow was actually similar to Ing family's heavy dust. One was a godly beast while the other was a ferocious beast. When everyone saw the descent of the godly beast, their confidence increased greatly, and they immediately began cheering. Long live the Empress! Long live the Empress! The three-legged crow landed beside Dong Huang Baiji, then shook its feathers and a golden halo spread out. All of the generals and soldiers felt that they had an inexhaustible amount of energy, and they wished that they could directly slaughter their way out. This was the benefit of being a godly beast, having a halo effect. However, ferocious beasts did not have such a passive effect. The battle was about to begin. Outside of the Void Realm, on a land of yellow sand. Suddenly, a white light flashed and 8,000 plus people appeared. There was also a huge beast. It was precisely the ancient beast, Heavy Dust. That red nail polish was very eye-catching, but Heavy Dust did not feel that it was ugly at all. On the contrary, it felt that it was glorious, and sometimes, it would even flaunt its beautiful nail polish. Family head, his honor's people have yet to appear, what should we do? Right now, Yingxiang family was also fully armed, and with an ancient godly item in his hand, the battle today will definitely be a bloodbath. The silver armor that Jingshan was wearing was very eye-catching, and the might that was being emitted from it was very shocking. This silver armor that Jingshan was wearing was also an ancient godly item. A big shot is a big shot, and an ancient godly item is just like an appetizer. Kangshi said faintly, "Wait." Chapter 244. In the bar. While Yi Hua was drinking wine, Wei Chang and Lai Gu were standing behind him, waiting for the latest instructions. "You guys go first. Remember to act real. However, don't hurt Baiji either." Yi Hua lit up a stick of cigarette and said faintly, "Yes. Yes." Wei Chang appeared to be calm, while Lai Gu appeared to be very excited. Voidless realm. The 8,000-strong army quietly waited. This caused Donghuang Baiji, who was within the army, to tightly wrinkle her brows. "Your Majesty, this is not good." Xuanhuan stepped forward and said. Donghuang Baiji naturally knew about this. "They are waiting for someone." Looking at Heavy Dust, who was outside Voidless Realms, people shook their heads. "How does this look like a ferocious beast?" Heavy Dust is actually scratching an itch like a dog, and furthermore Heavy Dust is even wearing that beautiful nail polish, and is even showing off there. Voidless Realms barrier allowed one to see the outside world from the inside, while the outside world would not be able to sense the outside world. A black vortex suddenly appeared in front of the Ying family's army. All of the Ying family's soldiers were on high alert, while Ying Jingshan waved his hand. A black shadow walked out of the vortex. It was Wei Chang, who had come to play the role of the bad guy. Ying Jingshan was overjoyed. As expected, the person that his honor sent over is truly formidable. Although his honor isn't emitting any pressure from his body, it is precisely this calmness that makes people revere him. The people in Voidless Realm also saw Wei Chang, and towards the shadowy figure, everyone was very puzzled. However, Donghuang Baiji's gaze became even more grave. Ying family has invited a helper over. Shameless. Something even more shameless came. Dragon roars resounded through the sky as a terrifying spiritual pressure swept across the land. Even Heavy Dust was trembling in fear. The black dot in the sky grew larger and larger. A huge bone dragon descended from the sky, stirring up a terrifying sandstorm. It was precisely Lai Gu who obtained his honor's permission to reveal his true body and act as the bad guy. The Ying family was dumbfounded. The people from Voidless Realm were dumbfounded. Although Lai Gu's true body was smaller than Heavy Dust, it was small yet powerful, small yet durable. At this moment, Ying Jingshan was stupefied. This bone dragon was truly powerful. He felt even more powerful than the giant water devil god. Donghuang Baiji's expression was gloomy. The skeletal dragon is too strong. Where did it come from? And that shadowy figure, it seemed like they were together. Of course, Wei Chang wouldn't stand on Lai Gu, because Lai Gu was his honor's mount. Other than his honor having ridden on Lai Gu before, only Yi Zizi had ridden on Lai Gu once. "Don't worry, Your Majesty. This barrier was set up in the ancient times. If they want to break in, they will definitely suffer heavy losses." Yuanda said. How could Donghuang Baiji not know how powerful this barrier was? However, her sixth sense as a woman told her that this barrier would not be able to stop them. Ying Jingshan, who was outside, naturally knew how powerful Voidless Realm's barrier was. "Lord, can you help me open this barrier?" Ying Jingshan shouted in a deep voice. Wei Chang looked at the barrier not far away. "What's wrong? You can't even open such a barrier?" "Lord, this barrier can be opened, but we will lose a lot of people." Ying Jingshan hurriedly explained. Wei Chang thought for a bit. If I were to kill half of the people outside of the barrier, Voidless Realm's advantage would be very big. After all, I and Lai Gu aren't here to kill the madam's subordinates, they are here to put on a show. Thinking of this, Wei Chang made a decision and flicked his finger. A black mist that looked like a black needle came into contact with the barrier, but the black mist did not pierce through the barrier. Instead, like a kind of strange life form, the black mist gradually covered the barrier and spread out. In a blink of an eye, the black mist attached itself onto the barrier like a spider web, and the barrier emitted out a strong spiritual might, seemingly wanting to struggle free from the disgusting black mist. However, it was useless. The black mist was like a domineering man and gradually wrapped around the woman in his embrace. Bang! A piece of the barrier shattered, and soon after, more and more people from Voidless Realm appeared in front of Ying Jingshan's eyes. Everyone had astonished expressions on their faces, especially Donghuang Baiji, who was in the sky. Her small mouth was slightly opened. Jingshan was the first to react. He pulled out his ancient godly item, pointed his sword towards Voidless Realm, and said with killing intent, "Kill! Kill!" 8,000 Ing family soldiers rushed into Voidless Realm. Heavy dust roared towards the sky and directly crashed into a floating mountain, shattering it into pieces. The three-legged black beast beside Donghuang Baiji let out a roar, and Heavy Dust's gaze became serious. Monstrous fury was ignited at this moment. The godly beast and the ferocious beast had always disliked each other, and thus, both sides immediately started fighting against each other. In just an instant, over 100 people had already fallen onto the ground, and the death toll was still rising. Donghuang Baiji shouted out and rushed straight towards Ing family's family head, Ing Jingshan. Meanwhile, the 8 elders were fighting against Ing family's clansmen. A life and death battle started. Wei Chang and Lai Gu walked into Voidless Realm unhurriedly, and after entering the barrier, they restored it back to its original state. The two stood in the sky and watched the battle quietly, ensuring that Voidless Realm's side was in a disadvantageous position. If not, how was his honor going to save the damsel in distress? Although Donghuang Baiji was fighting against Ing Jingshan, her gaze would occasionally fall onto Wei Chang and Lai Gu. Originally, Donghuang Baiji thought that they would start a massacre, but they didn't. They seemed to be watching the show from the side, and from time to time, they would kill a few people for fun. This made Donghuang Baiji very angry, but at the same time she was also very helpless. If they were to make a move, Voidless Realm would probably be destroyed in an instant. However, they didn't help Ing family too much, and it seems like they are waiting for someone. It must be said that Donghuang Baiji's feelings were too scary. If she were to find out about this, I reckon that she would not be able to get along with Yi Hua for the rest of her life. The tragic situation was escalating on both sides. Blood had already formed a river on the ground, and countless people were lying on the ground. More than half of Ing family's members had already fallen, and out of the 8 elders from Voidless Realm, only 3 remained. The battle between Heavy Dust and the three-legged Golden Crow was also very shocking. Both of them had wounds left behind by the other party, and blood was flowing non-stop. The battle was too tragic. However, right now Donghuang Baiji was gradually suppressing Ing Jingshan. As expected of the North's gang leader. Right now, Ing Jingshan had a lot of wounds on him. Although the wounds weren't fatal, they weren't feeling good either. And on the other hand, Donghuang Baiji's attacks were getting more and more ferocious. Lai Gu, this family head is still useful, don't let the madam kill him. Furthermore, it is about time for the main show to begin. Right now, Wei Chang was the representative of intelligence, and Lai Gu naturally had to listen to him. He didn't want his honor to be troubled by the family matters anymore. Lai Gu shook his dragon tail and immediately became startled. Why did I shake my dragon tail? I should have roared out. Brr. A dragon roar suddenly rang out, and Lai Gu charged towards Donghuang Baiji. Donghuang Baiji, who was just about to take Ing Jingshan's life, immediately retracted her hand, then quickly dodged to the side. Lai Gu thought to himself, Madam sure is formidable. However, his honor had said to let you suffer a bit. Who asked Madam to be disobedient? In that case, don't blame subordinate, it is all his honor's idea. Divine Dragon Tail Whip. The dragon tail, which brought along a gale, attacked towards Donghuang Baiji. The latter's expression changed. Immediately placing the ancient godly item in front of her body, she quickly formed hand seals. However, this was Lai Gu's attack. No matter how formidable an ancient godly item was, it would not be able to block this attack. Donghuang Baiji's body flew back like a cannonball and crashed onto a mountain. See, Lai Gu, do you want to get roasted by his honor? To attack so heavily. Wei Chang was greatly startled, and he wished that he could break Lai Gu. Lai Gu also panicked. I really didn't do it on purpose, I just casually swung my dragon tail. Chapter 245. Ing Jingshan, who was saved by Lai Gu, carried an incomparably grateful heart as he kowtowed and thanked Lai Gu. However, Lai Gu didn't have the mood to thank Lai Gu. Lai Gu wished that he could slap this trash to death, causing him to slap his wife away. Donghuang Baiji's body could be seen sinking deep into the mountain, and blood could be seen flowing out from the corner of her mouth. However, she did not give up, ferociously attacking towards Lai Gu. Lai Gu, if you injure Madame Donghuang again, his honor will cut you into pieces. Wei Chang warned. Lai Gu is also in a very difficult situation. If I were to intentionally go easy on Madame Shui, the madam would definitely be able to tell, and if I don't go easy on Madame Shui, the madam would be injured. It is really hard to be a subordinate. Voidless realm was gradually being suppressed by Ying family. Donghuang Baiji was currently fighting against Lai Gu, and all kinds of small injuries appeared on Donghuang Baiji's body. All of them were lacerations. This caused Donghuang Baiji to be very puzzled. He was obviously able to kill me, yet he only gave me a small injury. Just what is the meaning of this? Wei Chang panicked a little. From the expression on Madame Donghuang's face, he could tell that she was starting to suspect something. It couldn't go on like this. Lai Gu injure the madam and make the madam lose the ability to fight. Oh knock, Lai Gu could be seen opening his huge mouth and letting out a dragon roar. Donghuang Baiji, who was very close to him, had a huge change in expression, and the spiritual energy within her body became extremely chaotic, causing her to spurt out a mouthful of blood. Looking at the corpses on the ground as well as the soldiers who were gradually retreating, Donghuang Baiji's heart sunk to the bottom. Lai Gu was a bit flustered and he shouted out in his heart. Madam, quickly run, what are you blanking out for? I vow to protect Voidless Realm with my life. Donghuang Baiji shouted out, then actually attacked towards Lai Gu again. When the soldiers saw the Empress disregard her own life and continue to fight against the evil bone dragon, a surge of strength surged in their hearts, and the blades in their hands became even more ferocious. Lai Gu was about to collapse. What should I do? The script has gone astray. Wei Chang was also anxious. Madame Donghuang was really a woman who was not inferior to a man. No wonder his honor likes her so much. Only a woman like her is worthy to be his honor's wife. But right now the problem is, the madam is not afraid of death anymore. Gluttonous monster, hurry up and think of something. If I continue to hide, madam will become suspicious. Lai Gu didn't dare to touch Donghuang Baiji anymore. If he were to touch Donghuang Baiji again, madam might not be able to bear it. Wei Chang bellowed, what's wrong with you? Why does madam still have the strength to fight? I'm afraid that I will make madam faint from my loud roar. It will be very hard to control. Lai Gu was very depressed. This situation was just like when Death Mage fought against Xiao Yi. He could have instantly killed Xiao Yi, but the order he received was to injure Xiao Yi. It was just that he was too strong, so strong that any one of his moves could instantly kill him. It was too difficult to injure him. Lai Gu was in such a situation. Fortunately, even if he were to be reckless, he would not die like Death Mage. Haven't you finished yet? I have already waited for half a day. Yi Hua's voice rang out in the ears of the two. Wei Chang said hurriedly, Your Honor, give subordinate a bit more time, I will be done immediately. Madam's battle prowess is a bit high. Be careful, don't hurt this sovereign's woman. I'm already injured. Lai Gu wanted to cry but had no tears. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have accepted this job. I originally wanted to come here to act cool, but in the end, forget it, Lai Gu, be a bit more careful, don't hurt the madam. Wei Chang warned gravely. Lai Gu had no other choice but to stretch out his dragon claw and accurately poke onto Donghuang Baiji's ancient godly item. Bang! The ancient godly item immediately broke apart, and a huge amount of energy burst out from the broken ancient godly item, sending Donghuang Baiji flying away. Lai Gu was stupefied, Wei Chang was stupefied. After a long while, Wei Chang said coldly, Lai Gu, if you continue like this, you will really be stewed by his honor. I didn't do it on purpose. Lai Gu wanted to cry. The quality of this ancient godly item is truly not good enough. It broke with just a poke. Donghuang Baiji landed outside the palace. When the soldiers saw that their empress was sent flying, they immediately rushed over to protect her. There were only 3 elders left, Yuanda, Xuanhuan, and He Xian. Your Majesty. Yuanda hurriedly checked on Donghuang Baiji's injuries. Fortunately, her life is not in danger. Ying family surrounded Donghuang Baiji and the others in a defensive formation. If it wasn't for Wei Chang and Lai Gu's help, Ying family would indeed not be able to come out alive today. On the other hand, Donghuang Baiji had the ability to kill Ying Jingshan. Without the Ying family head, Ying family's morale would definitely plummet. Unfortunately, this is only if the morale of everyone in Ying family soared. Ying Jingshan even shouted, Empress, if you knew this would happen, you wouldn't have acted in the first place. For your Ying family to actually ask for help, aren't you afraid of becoming a laughingstock if word of this spreads out? Donghuang Baiji slowly stood up and shouted out coldly towards Ying Jingshan. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. Your Majesty should understand this, right? Alright, Ying Jingshan is starting to put on an act. Now that the fight has reached this point, his honor should also appear and subdue Voidless Realm. Just that, what method is his honor going to use to subdue Voidless Realm? This empress is very arrogant. Donghuang Baiji snorted, my Voidless Realm never surrenders. As expected of a heroine, I in Jingshan admire you. Looking at her subordinates that were drenched in blood, Donghuang Baiji let out a sigh of relief. I didn't expect that Voidless Realm would actually be destroyed in my hands. From the looks of it, I'm going to die here today. Ollie, in the future you have to listen to Daddy, Mommy cannot accompany you anymore. Thinking about her daughter, Donghuang Baiji revealed a tender look on her face. Although Donghuang Baiji had been taught a lesson by Yi Hua for the past few days, Donghuang Baiji had truly accompanied her daughter. Recalling Yi Hua's face in his mind, Yi Hua thought to himself, Yi Hua, take good care of our daughter, don't let her feel wronged. If there is a next life you must come downstairs and meet me, then we will be able to live happily together. Baiji. Donghuang Baiji was startled. Seeing Xianxia running over, Donghuang Baiji shouted out loudly, Xianxia, what are you running out for? Go back quickly. Baiji, what happened to you? Xianxia hurriedly held onto the weak Donghuang Baiji. Donghuang Baiji shook her head, Xianxia, I can't do it anymore. I'm sorry I got you involved in this as well. We can go call Yi Hua over. Xianxia said hurriedly. At this kind of moment of crisis, there was only one person that appeared in her mind, and that person was Yi Hua. Donghuang Baiji laughed bitterly, it's too late. Xianxia, take good care of Yi Hua in the future. What are you planning to do? If we can't beat them we can run. Donghuang Baiji shook her head, if I run away what are they going to do? Xianxia, I will get someone to bring you away from here. In the future, Ali will have to depend on you. What nonsense are you saying? Ali needs your care, and Yi Hua definitely doesn't want to lose you as well. Donghuang Baiji smiled sweetly, he doesn't want to lose you even more, hurry up and leave. If he were to find out that I abandoned you and left, wouldn't he whip me to death? Let's leave together. A mouthful of blood flowed out from Donghuang Baiji's mouth once again, and the blood flowed onto Xianxia's clothes. Your Majesty, you retreat first, we will hold up the rear. Yuan De and the others shouted out while standing in front of Donghuang Baiji. Donghuang Baiji fell into Xianxia's embrace and mumbled, if Yi Hua comes I will forgive him for being so heartless. And we will forgive him together. Wei Chang and Lai Gu were overjoyed, and they hurriedly informed his honor. Yi Hua was currently holding onto his daughter and waiting anxiously, and suddenly, a message came over. Ali, stay at home properly, Daddy will go and bring Aunt Qing and Mommy back. Yi Hua said with a smile. Donghuang Li clenched her small fist, Daddy, you can do it. Everyone in Voidless Realm was in despair. Facing against a powerful enemy, even the Empress didn't have any combat strength left. The ancient divine beast had also fallen to the side, and the ancient ferocious beast was the same as well. The entire Voidless Realm felt as if it had been bombarded by a cannon. Suddenly the sky changed and rumbling sounds could be heard. A rainbow-colored auspicious cloud floated over from afar, and there was a shadow on top of the rainbow-colored auspicious cloud. That's right, the shadow is Yi Hua. Just now, Yi Hua wore a set of handsome armor at home and he even had his hair sliced back. Furthermore, he seems to have put on a bit too much hair wax, but that doesn't matter, as long as he is handsome enough it is fine. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji stared blankly at the rainbow-colored auspicious cloud that was flying over, and the shadow on top of the rainbow-colored auspicious cloud. Tears of joy flowed out from the corners of their eyes. At the moment of life and death, Yi Hua didn't abandon us this time. He came. He really came. Yi Hua lightly leaped onto the ground and landed in front of the two women with a calm look on his face. Looking at the back view in front of them, the two women were moved to tears. Meanwhile, Yi Hua silently took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up, then pointed it towards Wei Chang and the others and said faintly, You cannot afford to offend my women. Chapter 246. Yi Hua's appearance made everyone stupefied, especially at Voidless Realm's side. Looking at this majestic-looking man, then looking at the weak empress who had tears on her face, they seemed to have thought of something. Adding on this man's opening line, it was confirmed. Meanwhile, Jingshan completely did not understand his honor's intentions. His honor wants to protect the empress, yet he wants me to attack the empress, and the main point is that he wants me to keep it a secret. From the looks of it, his honor is also a romantic person. Firstly, he can win over the beauty's heart, and secondly, he can subdue the entire Voidless Realm, why not? Admirable. Right now, Yi Hua did not turn his head around. In actuality, he really wanted to turn his head around and look at their expressions, but in order to create a better atmosphere he cannot turn his head around. The show had just started. Wei Chang, what are their expressions? Yihua asked curiously. Your Honor, the madams are all crying. Li Gu was also extremely happy. Your Honor, the madams are truly moved. That's good, but what I want is not just to be moved, I want them to be dead set on me and not be able to leave me for even a second. Continue with the show. Yes. Yes. Who are you? Without waiting for Wei Chang to say his lines, Jingshan snatched Wei Chang's lines. From this, it could be seen that his acting skills are not bad. Yihua had a new view of this Jingshan. His brain works very fast. You bunch of salted fishes think that you are worthy of knowing my name, fools? Yihua said coldly. Yihua had a look of, I am number one under the heavens, especially when he was smoking. Xianxia, who was at the back, laughed lightly, then said to Donghuang Baiji, his acting cool after smoking syndrome is acting up again. But I like the current him. Donghuang Baiji muttered. This back view suddenly became so tall and big, and that shattered heart of hers slowly started to heal. Xianxia looked at Yihua's back view and said with a smile, I like him too. Hearing the words of the two women at the back, Yihua became very excited. He wished that he could turn around and teach them a lesson right now. Who asked you to run away? Now you know the importance of me. Jingshan frowned slightly. This frown of his was just right, vividly displayed that expression of, dare yet not dare. Your distinguished courage is truly admirable. It is hard to find a person who is as passionate as your distinguished. Wei Chang and Li Gu were both stupefied. This Jingshan is so eloquent. Even when he was glaring at me, he didn't forget to flatter me. Meanwhile, everyone from Ying family seemed to have discussed this beforehand, and they were praising Yihua endlessly. Some of the words spoken by some people even caused goosebumps to appear on everyone's body. Right now, Yihua seemed to have been described by Ying family as a god who had descended to the mortal world, a man who was able to hold the pass against 10,000 enemies by himself. Furthermore, for the sake of his true love, Yihua was even willing to disregard his own life. When such discussions fell into the ears of the two women, their pair of beautiful eyes became even more tender. If it wasn't for the fact that there were too many people at the scene, the two women would have already pounced into Yihua's embrace and started talking about how much they missed each other. Wei Chang, what's the situation with the two of them? Yihua secretly asked. Your Honor, it's done. Wei Chang said excitedly. Yihua calmed down. All right then, let's add more fuel to the fire. Looking at Jingshan, Yihua said slowly, I didn't expect that my intentions and character would actually be seen through by you. If you want to bully them today, you'll have to ask me first. Yihua. They are very powerful, especially those two. Donghuang Baiji said concernedly. Yihua didn't turn his head around and said faintly, when men speak, you women just have to obediently watch. You are indeed domineering. You are the most domineering person I have ever seen. As he spoke, he even cupped his hands. His acting skills were off the charts. The members of the Ying family all expressed that they had never seen such a domineering man, and they all expressed their respect for him. Donghuang Baiji naturally heard what Yihua said as well. Donghuang Baiji felt that the moment Yihua arrived, the entire scene became different. Even the enemies were praising Yihua non-stop. Donghuang Baiji felt that as long as Yihua waved his hand, all of the winners would listen to his orders. One couldn't help but say that Donghuang Baiji's sixth sense was extremely terrifying. If she were to know that all of this was just an act for them to see, she would definitely collapse. Yihua flicked away the cigarette butt and said gravely, it is better for you to speak less of these flattering words. Let's see who's more powerful. Let me test the depth of your martial arts. Wei Chang slowly walked out. Everyone in Voidless Realm held their breaths. From the very start, this shadowy figure had not moved at all. This shadowy figure might be the most terrifying existence in the entire Voidless Realm. Yihua, don't go. Donghuang Baiji said anxiously. Yihua still didn't turn his head around and said faintly, I will bring you two home later. 1,000 words cannot compare to a family. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji were truly moved by Yihua. Right now, they were willing to do whatever Yihua wanted them to do. Yihua slowly floated into the sky, and a long blade appeared in his hand. The blade was emitting out killing intent, causing everyone to exclaim in admiration. As expected of an expert. If your excellency is able to win against me, I will retreat. Wei Chang began walking according to the script. Yihua snorted, want to leave? How can it be that easy? After finished speaking, Yihua slashed down with his blade. Wei Chang shouted out loudly, Come at me. Your Excellency's martial arts indeed astonish me. Ah. To be able to block my blade, I will consider you to be quite capable. Your Excellency, I am going to use my true abilities next. Just what I wanted. The two of them spoke according to their script, causing everyone below the stage to become extremely excited. Such a powerful duel, even if they were to just watch it, they would be able to comprehend something. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji's beautiful eyes were filled with worry. Yihua, you must not get into any trouble. If you die, we won't be able to continue living on our own. If Yihua was able to hear their confession, he would definitely be excited to death. Lai Gu raised his head and looked at his honor and Wei Chang. Such good acting skills, no wonder Wei Chang left such an important role for me. If I were to play the role, I would definitely lose a lot of influence. Shadow flow consecutive slash. Yihua's hand trembled, and the golden blade light appeared exceptionally dazzling, seemingly as if it was going to connect the heaven and the earth, causing everyone to exclaim in admiration. Wei Chang said with a deep voice, Your Excellency's blade technique has already reached the acme of perfection, causing me to exclaim in admiration. However, it is still not enough. Dark acupoint. A black whirlpool could be seen condensing in front of Wei Chang, and the numerous blade lights were directly devoured by the whirlpool. Soon after, all of the blade lights were reflected back. The numerous blade lights that brought along destruction attacked towards Yihua. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji, who were below the stage, didn't dare to look anymore. Yihua shouted out coldly, You dare to be impudent in front of me with insignificant skills. Yihua raised the blade in his hand high up and slashed down. A blade energy that was even more powerful than the previous blade energy emerged, and the color of the world changed. Wei Chang said faintly, Your Excellency is indeed formidable, then I will not hold back anymore. Come, let me see your strength. Your Excellency will have to be careful then. Wei Chang's body suddenly erupted with a power that could destroy the world, and the entire voidless realm was trembling. And under this terrifying power, the blade energy that Wei Chang sent out just now turned into thin air. Chapter 247. Right now, Jingshan was truly speechless. Death Mage is already very formidable, but this shadowy figure is even more formidable than Death Mage. Furthermore, there is also the Bone Dragon at the side. Just how many formidable subordinates does his honor have? Yuanda was shocked to the point that he was speechless. After a long while, he said, Empress's husband is truly formidable. He Xian nodded his head. These two are the strongest people I have ever seen. This kind of battle is unprecedented. For Empress to have such a husband, we can finally be at ease. Xuanhuan sighed repeatedly. How could Donghuang Baiji have the mood to listen to those things right now? Her beautiful eyes were fixedly staring at the sky. Wei Chang's entire body seemed to have turned into a black fog, and that black fog was like a blade stabbing out from all kinds of weird angles. Streams of berserk aura engulfed voidless realm, and the scene looked just like the end of the world. Of course, this was just a fight for show. If they were to really fight, this place would have long turned into ruins. Everyone was imagining the result of the fight with the shadowy figure. There was only one result, and that was being insta-killed. The speed of the two could be seen becoming faster and faster, to the point that they had already disappeared. Xianxia mumbled, Where are they? Donghuang Baiji tightly wrinkled her brows. This kind of battle is not something we can imagine. It is possible that they have entered into another space. Let's just wait quietly. Inside the bar, Yihua placed down the blade in his hand, poured himself a cup of wine, then raised his head and drank it. Comfortable. Congratulations, Your Honor, the madams firmly believe in you. Wei Chang knelt down on one knee to express his sincerity. Yihua turned around and said, Wei Chang, your contributions this time cannot go unnoticed. You can ask for anything that you want. I will agree to anything. It is my duty to share His Honor's worries. Wei Chang said respectfully, carrying incomparable sincerity. Yihua sat on the high chair and said faintly, Wei Chang, during these 5 years, I have seen the changes that you have undergone. You have indeed improved a lot. To be able to receive Your Honor's praise is the biggest reward for subordinate. Subordinate will definitely pledge my loyalty to you. And I am looking forward to your performance in the future. Subordinate will definitely not disappoint Your Honor. After pouring himself another cup of wine, Yihua said gravely, This hero's saving the beauty scene is more or less done. There won't be much use if we continue acting. I feel that it is time for us to reverse the situation. Your Honor is wise. Subordinate feels the same way too. It's just that subordinate is afraid of harming Your Honor's holy body. Yihua let out a sigh. In the past, I felt that the love and affection of those humans are all illusory. What's the use of having love and affection? However, after coming into contact with Xianxia and the others, only then did I understand how to be a qualified husband. For the sake of this family's harmony, what harm is there for me to suffer a little injury? It seemed that there was a trick of injuring oneself to gain the confidence of others behind this act of saving the damsel in distress. It was truly interlinked and impossible to guard against. For Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji to get together with such a man, it was unknown whether it was a blessing or a disaster. Your Honor, subordinate feels that such a small injury won't be effective. Oh. Wei Chang said gravely, subordinate believes that his honor is going to suffer a serious injury. This way the madams will be even more loyal to his honor. After all, for the madams, his honor is even willing to give up his life. And that makes sense. Yihua nodded his head. Then he asked, then what is considered a serious injury? Your Honor, subordinate feels that by temporarily pretending to lose his cultivation and become paralyzed, the madams will definitely feel guilty towards his honor, and from there they will take good care of his honor. And his honor will be able to enjoy the care of the madams every day, and he won't even need to move his hands. Yihua looked at Wei Chang blankly, then slammed onto the table. Wei Chang, you are truly smarter than Zhu Tian. If I become paralyzed, then I will have to be taken care of by the madams. Things like bathing, peeling crayfish, massaging, they will have to properly serve me and I will only have to move my mouth. There is nothing better than having them serve me. Subordinate is also doing this to make his honor happy. Just that, subordinate feels apologetic for having to harm his honor's holy body later on. Wei Chang, there is no need for you to apologize. This is all for my family, it has been hard on you. Subordinate is afraid. Wei Chang deeply lowered his head. Lighting up a stick of cigarette, Yihua said faintly, it's time for me to suffer a bit. Your Honor, the props have all been prepared. Wei Chang could be said to be very responsible, everything had been properly arranged. Yihua laughed lightly, what I want is authenticity, I will not do things that are fake. Wei Chang sighed with emotion, then said sincerely, for the sake of the madams, his honor did not hesitate to harm himself. From this, it can be seen that his honor's comprehension of human nature has increased by another level. Subordinate is truly ashamed. Human nature is truly a good thing, I'm starting to like it more and more. After finished speaking, Yihua extinguished the cigarette. Soon after, Yihua slapped onto the armor that he was wearing, and cracks appeared on the armor. The armor that was originally covering his entire body revealed his shoulders, and his waist was also shattered. From the looks of it, Yihua seemed to have suffered from a huge attack. Afterward, Yihua used both of his hands to poke his hair, making it look a bit more decadent. Afterward, Yihua took out a small knife and made a wound on his body. Furthermore, it was the kind of wound where the skin and flesh were split open. Without blood to serve as a foil, how could it be visually shocking? Then Yihua casually wiped his face a few more times and with that his task was completed. Xianxia, Donghuang Baiji, for the sake of the two of you, I did not hesitate to harm myself. From now on, the two of you have to be obedient, I will not do such a thing next time. Waving onto the mirror, Yihua asked, Wei Chang, how do I look like? Your Honor, subordinate admires you. Yihua lit up another stick of cigarette, then discussed with Wei Chang about the lines and moves that he was going to use next. Within Voidless Realm. Everyone was waiting for the two to appear, but 30 minutes had already passed, and the two had yet to appear. This caused Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji to be extremely nervous, fearing that something bad would happen to Yihua. Suddenly, two figures appeared in the air once again, and the two could be seen quickly separating from each other. Everyone couldn't help but take in a breath of cold air. There was no change to the shadowy figure, but Yihua appeared to be very weak. The armor that was on his body was already broken, and blood was everywhere on his body. His face was pale and he looked as if he was going to die soon. Yihua! Yihua! The two women shouted out towards Yihua, who was in the air. Their tears were like a dam bursting, and their hearts felt as if it was being twisted by a knife. Yihua was delighted. I didn't waste my effort and conscience. Yihua blinked his eyes towards Wei Chang. Wei Chang immediately understood what Yihua meant. His figure flashed and a lump of black fog sent Yihua flying. Very accurately, Wei Chang landed in front of Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji. When Lai Gu saw how ruthless Wei Chang was, he thought to himself, aren't you afraid that his honor will kill your Xiao Tang? Don't you know that his honor had praised Wei Chang just now? For the sake of shocking Yihua, Wei Chang used quite a bit of strength when he smashed Yihua's body. Yihua. The two women sprinted over and carried Yihua, who was in the hole, into their embrace. Yihua was feeling very happy in his heart, but he wasn't able to show it out. This kind of feeling was truly painful. Xianxia felt very guilty as she wiped off the bloodstains on Yihua's face in a flurry, then said while crying, "Yihua, don't scare me." Chapter 248. Yihua slowly raised both of his hands and used his bloodied fingers to wipe off the two women's tears, then said weakly, "The two of you are so disobedient, I really want to spank the two of you. You're still thinking of lecturing us at a time like this?" Donghuang Baiji cried out. Although Donghuang Baiji was wearing an empress gown, she no longer had the aura of an empress. Xianxia said, "Yihua, I promise that I will listen to you in the future, nothing will happen to you." Yihua looked towards the sky and mumbled, "I really want to go home with you all." After finished speaking, Yihua wanted to puke out a mouthful of blood, but in the end, no matter how much he tried to puke it out, he was unable to do so. Only after he secretly poked himself did he have a reaction. Sure enough, with the addition of vomiting blood, the scene was even sadder. This demeanor. He was vomiting blood. These lines. Filled with longing and longing for home. "This year's Best Actor award belongs to you." Wei Chang, who was in the sky, was also shocked by his honor's acting skills. All of this was done on the spot, especially that last line of his honors, it was just too awesome. Sure enough, as soon as he said that, the two women burst into tears. Yihua snickered in his heart, and he was about to be unable to hold back his laughter. In actuality, during these 2 days, Yihua had specially gone to ask Qin Yutong about acting skills. Just like in Iron Man 1, the protagonist's last sentence, "I am Iron Man," actually the line was not like that, but it was this kind of improvisation that created the next series. The atmosphere at the scene became sentimental, and the people from Voidless Realm all felt that the Empress's husband was amazing. It was a man. He had come here alone and fought against the shadowy figure. Facing such a powerful figure, he had persisted for so long. He had not come here for fame but to bring his wife home. He was a true man. Voidless Realm's officers and soldiers seemed to have been infected by Yihua, and their eyes turned red. The members of the Ying family were all dumbfounded. Was this an act? Why does it feel so real? From the looks of it, Yihua's goal had been achieved, and he managed to deceive even his own people. Wei Chang felt that it was about time. Today's matter should have come to an end. Slowly landing, Wei Chang said indifferently, "Your courage is admirable, you are a true hero. What else do you want?" The two women could be seen protecting Yihua behind them. As an ordinary person, Xianxia's courage was commendable. Seeing these two foolish women standing in front of him to protect him, Yihua's heart felt warm. This kind of feeling was something that he had never felt before. He had also experienced the feeling of being a death mage, and his heart was at peace. Wei Chang sighed with emotion in his heart. The madams are truly great, to be able to protect his honor even in this kind of situation. "That's fine, let the dolls replace me then, but those dolls must have my name written on them." Hearing what Yihua said, Xianxia was already sobbing uncontrollably. "Baiji." Yihua called out lightly, seemingly as if he was leaving behind his last words. "Yihua, I'm here." Donghuang Baiji held on to Yihua's other side. Yihua asked calmly, "Do you still hate me for not meeting you back then?" "I hate you. F***K, I am already in such a state and you still hate me? Do you even have a bit of conscience? But I hate you for wanting to leave me again. You scared me so much that I jumped in fright. Baiji, it's a pity that I won't be able to properly compensate you. Take good care of Ali, let her know that Daddy sacrificed himself to save Mommy. No? You have to take care of Ali together with me, Ali can't live without a father." Donghuang Baiji shouted out with heartache, and that hoarse voice of hers caused everyone's heart to shatter. Wei Chang and Lai Gu felt that his honor's acting was very lively, and they were almost moved by it. It seems like his honor is really going to die. If I am given another chance, I will definitely go downstairs back then and not let you down. From start to finish, Yihua was looking at the sky, but it was precisely because of this that everyone felt that Yihua was so cool. I know, Yihua, don't leave me again." In actuality, the reason why Yihua was looking at the sky was because he was about to not be able to hold it in any longer and was about to laugh out loud. However, when Yihua laughed out loud, his life would definitely change drastically. In the future, he would only have the life of being a loner. "Alright, the two of you take good care of each other in the future," Your husband will be leaving first. Yihua lightly pushed out with both of his hands, restraining Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji to prevent them from disturbing him. Yihua! Yihua! The two women's heart-wrenching screams resounded throughout Voidless Realm, and everyone was affected by this touching love story. Yihua slowly rose into the sky while carrying his weak body, then said coldly towards Wei Chang, "You better keep your promise. I didn't expect that your distinguished would sacrifice yourself for the sake of your true love. I am far inferior to your distinguished." Chapter 249. Stop with these flattering words, come. Yihua shouted out gravely, and his body that was originally slightly bent gradually straightened up. Although it was just a small detail, it was the detail that determined success or failure. That kind of great figure was immediately engraved in people's hearts, which had already exceeded the scope of acting. Wei Chang went into a slight daze. As expected, his honor is formidable. Wei Chang shouted out, "Since your distinguished has decided, then I won't be polite anymore." Turbulent energy suddenly burst out, the color of heaven and earth instantly changed and thunder rumbled. Facing against this berserk aura, Yihua's expression remained unchanged. This courage of Yihua's caused the people from Voidless Realm to exclaim in admiration endlessly. Everyone said that the Empress has found a good man. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji sat on the ground and looked at their man foolishly. If I had known that it would be like this, I wouldn't have quarreled with Yihua. After today, even if I wanted to quarrel with someone, there wouldn't be anyone to quarrel with. Donghuang Baiji became even more regretful. If I didn't go and ask for Yihua's hand in marriage, Ying family wouldn't have attacked Voidless Realm, and Yihua wouldn't have died miserably. But there was no medicine for regret in this world. Berserk energy was currently gathering, and the black figure could be seen immediately transforming into a huge palm that carried a power that seemed to be able to destroy the world and attack Yihua. Of course, Wei Chang wouldn't really slap his honor's body over. If he were to slap his honor's body would definitely not be able to endure it, and his honor's body would be revealed. If that was the case, his honor would be finished. Just as it was about to touch Yihua's chest, it retracted all of its power. But even if it was to be recycled, the effect of the scene still had to be created. The special effects were absolutely conscientious. The huge air wave engulfed the entire Voidless Realm, and the mountains that were floating in the sky collided with each other one after another. It could be seen that Voidless Realm was going to have to be renovated. Yihua nodded towards Wei Chang, then puked out a mouthful of blood and flew out. He fell directly in front of the two women. His entire body was lifeless and he looked no different from a dead person. Donghuang Baiji stared blankly at Yihua, then suddenly puked out a mouthful of blood and fainted. To her, this kind of blow was too big. Donghuang Baiji had just reunited with Yihua, and there were still a lot of things that she wanted to talk to him about. Donghuang Baiji didn't expect that they would be separated by life and death so quickly. At this moment, Donghuang Baiji's maiden heart died, and she fell asleep together with Yihua. On the other hand, Xianxia did not faint. Her expression was a bit sluggish, as if she had become stupid. No one at the scene spoke. They didn't even dare to breathe too loudly. A hero like this had gone through a difficult battle, but in the end he still fell. The people from Voidless Realm were in great pain. The members of the Ying family were completely dumbfounded, and they couldn't even tell if it was true or not. Wei Chang began to make his closing remarks. This person's bravery is like that of a celestial being. I am sincerely convinced. Today's matter ends here. Sorry for disturbing you. Wei Chang was very satisfied. From now on, his honor's life should be filled with happiness. As his honor's subordinate, I am also endlessly happy. The people from Voidless Realm let out a sigh of relief. Ying Jingshan came back to his senses, then cupped his hands towards Yihua and said, "You are the most affectionate man that I have ever seen. I am ashamed." Everyone from Ying family cupped their hands towards Yihua. It was fortunate that they did not kneel down, if not, the dead Yihua would definitely jump up. The battle finally ended, and the Ying family began to evacuate. "You can't leave." His voice wasn't loud, but it reached everyone's ears. His tone was very cold and filled with pain. It made the listener feel especially uncomfortable, as if their hearts were blocked. Ying Jingshan said to Xianxia apologetically, "Please restrain your grief. You can't leave." Xianxia's voice was filled with certainty, and it was also filled with Xianxia's obsession towards Yihua. Yihua, who was lying on the ground, felt his heart sink. "I am not dead yet. Why didn't you come over and check on me?" "Wei Chang, what happened to Xianxia?" Yihua hurriedly contacted Wei Chang. Wei Chang said gravely, I don't know, the madam is acting very strangely. Lai Gu was also very confused. Your Honor, the madam's expression is a bit strange. You guys take a good look at me. If anything happens to Xianxia, I will stew you. Yi Hua was also a bit panicked. The plot was going well, why did something unexpected suddenly occur? Wei Chang said hurriedly, Madam, please calm down, why don't you check on your husband first? Yi Hua wished that he could slap Wei Chang to death. This sentence of yours has too many loopholes. Right now Wei Chang was also panicking. Fortunately, Donghuang Baiji had fainted, and Xianxia didn't listen to what Wei Chang said. You guys are going to be buried together with my husband. A roar resounded throughout the world. Boom. A ray of white light descended from the sky and immediately enveloped Xianxia within it. A huge amount of spiritual energy gathered around Xianxia, and the surrounding people couldn't help but retreat as they stared dumbfoundedly at the ray of white light that descended from the sky. Wei Chang was stupefied. Lai Gu was stupefied. Everyone in Ying family's jaws were about to drop onto the ground. Voidless Realms people were stupefied. Yi Hua also sensed the change in Xianxia and he was also extremely astonished. What is going on? Is Xianxia going to become Ultraman? The ray of white light that descended from the sky became denser and denser, and it even brought along a godly might, which was very similar to Donghuang Baiji. Yuanda sensed it and his eyeballs were about to pop out. Yuanda wasn't the only one who sensed the special godly might, Xinghan and He Xian had also sensed it. This is Nuwa's bloodline. She is actually Nuwa's descendant. Ying Jingshan looked at the ray of white light blankly. No wonder His Honor would treat them like this, each of their identities is more powerful than the other. Even Nuwa's bloodline has appeared. This also means that another crisis is descending. According to rumors, during the ancient era, the Heaven Emperor gave an order to suppress the humans, but the humans resisted. Thus, the Heaven Emperor sent out Nuwa to destroy the humans and recreate the humans that worship the gods. Who knew that Nuwa would disobey the Heaven Emperor's order and descend to the mortal world to protect the humans? The celestial ruler was furious. He removed Nuwa's godly record and sent out godly generals to destroy the earth. Nuwa led the humans to resist the celestial ruler. In the end, Nuwa died of exhaustion. Her descendants flowed into the human world and protected the humans for generations. However, in the end she was still going against the gods. Nuwa's descendants became fewer and fewer, until today, when Xianxia awakened her bloodline. Many people felt it. If such a thing didn't happen, Xianxia wouldn't be able to awaken in this lifetime. Xianxia's rage was soaring. Xianxia actually broke through the strange seal and awakened the Eastern Emperor bloodline within her body. One must know that even Donghuang Baiji has yet to awaken the Eastern Emperor bloodline. Because the Eastern Emperor bloodline can only be inherited by males, that was the reason why Yuanda was so anxious to let the Empress give birth to a male child. When Yi Hua sensed the aura that Xianxia was emitting out, he was extremely shocked. Although she is a bit weaker than Wei Chang and the others, she is still stronger than Death Mage. As expected of my wife, she is able to give me surprises one after another. Wei Chang, why are you still standing there? Run. Before Wei Chang could even react, the white light that descended from the sky instantly disappeared. Right now, Xianxia seemed to have completely changed into a different person. Even the clothes that she was wearing had changed. Xianxia was wearing a cyan-colored silk gown that was embroidered with butterflies and green patterns. Her hair was coiled into a unique cloud bun, and the godly might that was emitting out from her body couldn't help but make people have the urge to kneel down. Right now, Xianxia had completely changed. Saying that she was a fairy would be an understatement. She was a true goddess-like figure. Wei Chang looked at Xianxia blankly, and Xianxia disappeared from where she was standing. Wei Chang was startled. A berserk aura came from behind Wei Chang. You're tuning in to the Sword Dance in the Vast Sky YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.